Just immediate.
Just immediate. And hello. Let me do a little quick. This is the chat box zone to see how it looks. Yep, that's fine enough. That's fine enough. Okay.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is a really awful overlay, not a real overlay at all, but it's step one into the new transition. I was going to stream to YouTube today. None of that. One moment, I need to move my mic closer. It's obvious I am completely out of. I'm a little rusty in terms of streaming. I haven't done it regularly in a while, but I do want to do some chatty stuff. On my YouTube Extras channel. I want to start moving over there and Mr. Heir Apparent, ladies and gentlemen. Or are you Joey Maracuya? What was it again?
Maracuya, and yes,
Maracuya. Okay.
both. I'm both.
You're both. So
Yeah, I'm both.
Either way, it makes it easier to say Joey, or if we were being appropriate, Jose.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Or Giuseppe.
This is just the Giuseppe, huh? Okay.
Yeah. I've been called them all, dude.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see it. But yeah, we're doing Game Awards nominees discussion, and the reason, I mean, this is kind of like an annual thing at this point. Like, even though we know the Game Awards are kind of a joke, there's still a fascination in them. There's still something that you want to watch and want to be like, why? Why? Well, of course, when we actually watch it, we're watching it for the trailers. It's a big commercial event. The awards are secondary. It's, but I think that actually helps explain, and I never thought of it before, but that helps explain some of why it is the way it is, right? Like, one of the things that I said after the nominations, because you know me, I try not to cuss these days, but I did make a exception and called it the Basic Bitch Gamer Awards, because the games shown are the most predictable, obvious. This is what your average normie player will have heard of, will have played, will be talking about. It's even in the indie section, there is no risk taking in regards to nominations. There is nothing interesting or surprising. It's as predictable as it gets.
Don't forget, it makes the advertisers happy as well.
It does make advertisers happy as well. But it's also one of those things that makes me wonder, because in the past, Jeff Keighley's talked about the commercial element of the show, right? He has discussed things such as, you know, gamers aren't forward looking. They no. They don't look backwards, right? They're forward looking. They don't really look back or anything. And it's like, are you kidding? And he said this in the era of constant remasters.
Yeah,
so it was a weird
successful remasters by the way.
Yes.
What's up, Adam Dev?
Oh, we got an Adam Dev. How's it going?
Yeah.
Hola, but right back.
Yeah. So because like because you're right. There's a lot of, I mean, dude, this year was like massive for looking back. Like, I mean, Game of the Year, Resident Evil 4 is on there. Like, that's massive in and of itself.
It is a nomination.
Super Mario is like, while it's new, it's very much familiar. And
Super Mario Wonder is definitely, if New Super Mario Brothers were trying to go back to the original Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers Wonder is definitely latching on to Mario Brothers 3 and Mario World.
Yeah, 100%.
No, you're definitely right, though, especially at the beginning of the year, where people were looking at that in humor, but also as a problem, right? It's like the top rating games of the year so far: the Dead Space remake, the Resident Evil 4 remake, and the Metroid Prime remaster. And we're not done yet either, because this Friday, I think, Super Mario RPG remake, which is probably going to rate very highly, right?
I
That
am
looks great.
excited. I am very excited.
And we'll talk about it when it comes to what's missing and most anticipated. But Persona 3 Reload is the beginning of next year.
Yep.
And so we're definitely in a back. It's like people love the past still, and there's
Yeah.
nostalgia. And also, let's look outside of Hollywood, right? Outside of games and into Hollywood, right? It's all nostalgia. It's all about going into the past. It's all
Mm-hmm.
this stuff. But I wonder, for again, it's not just
Excited.
marketing purposes, but if you're talking about what the most broad audience is going to want to see in regards to awards,
Mm-hmm.
well, it makes sense if you have the basic gamer picks, right? The most basic stuff, the most predictable stuff you can choose. And
I would say the most casual, not even basic. I would say the most casual, like just the
well,
like.
I say basic because casual gets into loaded territory because that's where mobile games come in. Like the
Hmm.
solitaire player, only now it's evolved
All right,
into
that is just
Bejeweled.
passing the time, just
But
blatant. That is
like,
blatant. Like I have nothing. Like my phone is dead. I'm on my work computer and I don't have Minesweeper. It's time to load up some solitaire.
you don't even have pinball. You don't even have
Don't even
pinball.
have dude, Space Cadet pinball. That was dope. Put that on the list, Jeff Keighley. I dare you.
Space Cadet Remastered 2024.
Yeah.
Like it's going.
If Among Us can win in like what 2020, even though it came out initially in 2018, why not Space Cadet pinball? Okay.
Phil Spencer opens up a new presentation. It's like Space Cadet Pinball coming to Game Pass, and he's like, "We heard you loud
Part
and
of EA
clear." Like,
Play. Yeah, it'll be like that E3 where the guy was like, "And we have one more announcement, Peggle 2," and he's like all excited, and they show nothing.
oh man. Um,
Anyway,
but that's the thing. Like, so it's tough though because it's like basic sounds more harsh than normie, but it is that sort of like not the kind of person that's clearly
they're not
devoted
as
to the
into
industry.
it.
They don't care.
Right.
They're not plugged in. They're not as interested in the industry as a whole. It's a
It's not their
side
main hobby.
hobby. Yeah, it's like a
Yeah.
tertiary hobby, right?
Yeah.
Um, they'll call themselves a
Like
gamer, but they're not like big into it. And
yeah.
so to them,
It's always in the peripheral. Like maybe they're playing games with their like the only time they play games is like with kids and stuff like that. You know,
the kind of person
you're
that believes The Last of Us has the best story of a video game, that kind of a
careful
person.
now. Careful. Careful.
But for the purposes of this conversation, we are not going to be discussing any of the esports stuff because we don't pay attention there. And again, like I understand why it's there. We're talking about a huge multi-million dollar industry, perhaps even in the billions. I don't know, but it's
Oh,
huge. So I get why
I'm
esports
actually
is
going
in
to
there.
correct you on that. I'm gonna yeah. Esports is hemorrhaging money.
I
It
knew
is
Overwatch League was.
no esports as a whole. Like and
Oh
like
wow.
I put him in your Discord the other day. Moist Critical. He actually has his own esports team and it's actually very successful. He's not making any money off of esports at all, despite their success. Like
Huh.
esports as a whole is a black hole for money. And part of me wonders is esports part of this to kind of help validate it? Try to make sure advertisers like aware of that it is like something that is ultra competitive and a potential, moneymaker, a potential like advertising venue. I'm not sure, but it's not doing well as a whole.
Quick, if there's weird noises that you hear on my mic, it's because I got my window open. Door closed,
Oh,
window open. It's a little warm in my room. So,
that's fair.
um, I didn't. That
Yeah.
actually. Well, that gets into the other aspect of Jeff Keighley, which is validation. Jeff Keighley is a Gen Xer. And Jeff Keighley, you can tell, is very insecure about the idea of video games not being taken seriously as an art form, but he does all the wrong things to try and make it seem valid. let's get the celebrities up here. Let's get and with all the adaptations that we have, we actually have valid celebrities. Al Pacino's not one of them. Let's not forget last year.
That was wild.
I felt so bad for him.
He did not know where he was. That poor guy.
That poor man. Hasn't he had enough trouble?
But because they had Al Pacino. They've had some other celebs. They like musical acts. They would have Imagine Dragons.
Stuff like that. Yeah. Which again is the normie bait. It's the kind of stuff that. Well, I mean, but then again, at the same time, you will get Mick Gordon at least. So once in a while, you get something. You'll get someone performing music from a Supergiant Games track, maybe.
That was cool.
You'll get
and they had the orchestra doing a medley of all the
That's always good, yeah.
The songs of the games of the year, which was dope. I didn't recognize what Elden Ring song they were playing, but
it was cool. One of the boss themes.
Yeah, it was Radon.
Maybe.
No, it definitely was not Radon. No, it definitely was not. Radon's my ringtone. Anyway.
But yeah, esports we won't be discussing because we don't really follow it, so we don't have anything. Let's start with content creator of the year, because normally it's like, look at all the people I don't know. But
let me view all categories. Where is content creator? Oh, I want to see this. I think I know who one of them is. Yep.
Two of them are interesting. Because the thing is...
Are you thinking of Quackity?
No. I have no idea who Quackity is. I have no idea who Spreen is. I have no idea who Cypher PK is. I do not care about these kinds of content creators. People make games...
I think he did like... I know that name, and I forget... Like, he was mentioned by like Turkey Tom or something. I'm like...
You're just talking about all kinds of names I don't know. People make
Turkey
games...
Tom is good documentary stuff.
People Make Games actually has a possibility of being worthy, because even though they were so millennial about it in ways, and I say that in part because it's like, no, you guys got to act like journalists. Don't apologize for anything. Ask the hard-hitting questions. Don't try and like be afraid of confrontation. Just be professional. Ask your questions. Yeah. Don't even try and give excuses. And it's funny because you can tell the businessman they're going to be that way with, but no. Once we get to some of the creatives, no. But it was the Disco Elysium company. They broke a lot of information regarding the Disco Elysium company having interviews and everything, and how the original creators might have been awful manipulative people. Now, there's still basically the people that were fired. It looks like they were fired for a reason. Like, they talk to people that are still working at the studio, kind of a deal. And so it's one of those things where it's like, oh, holy cow! Like, there's a lot more to this story than that's on. So, a YouTube channel that did real journalism. They definitely are rough around the edges in regards to how they do it. And they've done stuff like this before. They've definitely had videos where they meet with creators, talk to them and stuff. So it's like, this is actual real content creation.
Well, in terms of journalism.
In terms of journalism, sorry, I should specify in that regard. So they make a really good case. The other is, of course, Iron Mouse. I know Iron Mouse.
Yeah.
And
this one's interesting because I haven't watched her in a while, so it's interesting seeing her here. I think her story is inspiring, but I
think there's a question there. Like, well, my first thing is, I haven't talked to him about this. I told my brother, the day a VTuber is nominated for Content Creator of the Year is the day VTubers are basically done. It's been overexposed. They've gone mainstream. It's just done. Any charm VTubers originally had as this underground thing is gone. And this was true a while ago. I'm actually surprised it took until this year, not last year. But the thing is, at least Iron Mouse, I think, is a worthy one. Um,
Yeah, she's pretty drama free for the most part. She's
she is, and as you said, she's a very positive example because of her health issues and all the things she works through, and she has a very positive attitude about it. Um, and her interactions with what is his name, Conrad,
yeah.
are very
That's
very wholesome and adorable. Um, even if he has a tendency to put his foot in his mouth. So if
it's
it
funny when he does though.
it is funny. Um, in regards to VTubers, honestly, because I actually wondered this, it's like, is there a VTuber that deserves this spot more than Iron Mouse? I think the one that deserves it most is Amelia Watson, because she is mad creative, mad intelligent, mad innovative in the sphere.
Hmm.
But
Listen, there's
Iron Mouse is
one
going
that
to get you
we all
points.
know.
Iron Mouse is going to. Oh yeah,
There's
Kiryu. Well, not Kiryu Coco at this point.
Kason.
Kason. Yes, I'm sitting here wanting to put the number 9 in for some reason. Kason. I think Amelia Watson is more creative than Kason, but Kason is more influential. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Kason is incredibly influential. You wouldn't have Amelia Watson without Kason.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, she was the whole Kiryu Coco was the whole reason why there's an EN
En.
branch anyway.
Yeah. Um, the thing is, Iron Mouse, to keep it as simple as possible, and considering what you and I know about Jeff Keighley and some of the stuff he does with his show, Iron Mouse gets you points for several reasons. Um, but when it comes to who I think should win, I actually think it should be People Make Games because, again, what content they produced this year broke a lot of information and revealed a lot going on about the Disco Elysium studio. Now that I think about it, this is kind of Volan should be on here, but it might be too late. But also at the same time, Volan, like, why is Volan getting contacted by Creative Assembly employees? Because the mainstream doesn't care about Total War unless it's Warhammer. And now all kinds of and that's the thing, a bunch of press are reporting Volan's content for their news headlines about what's going on in Creative Assembly. And then, Aztecross was contacted by Bungie employees about what's going on there. It's like there's actually several content creators that clearly deserve to be on here more because they were either able to reach out or their content drew the attention of studios that brought information to light.
Yeah.
And it actually, if anything, kind of makes a joke of the game. But that might be one of the reasons, right? Like, People Make Games kind of put themselves forward as journalists, as DeCross and Volan never did. And Volan especially doesn't play nice. He doesn't have all the accepted political views. So, and who does a lot of the nomination for the Game Awards. So,
Right.
we've got several YouTubers this year that are breaking stories that used to be exclusively Jason Schreier level. And now,
Yeah,
not anymore.
Jason Schreier's report, like, highly respected despite
despite his personality, yes. But
so who did you pick? People Make Games then?
I'm going to. I haven't voted for anything yet. And that's one of the things for this as well, is I'm going to go through and do my votes. I think I'm going to vote for People Make Games, yeah.
I voted Iron Mouse just because the thing that stands out for me about her is that she is a very positive example despite the organization that she's because
yes, V Shoujo.
Like yeah, V Shoujo, like I was high on them when they started. I have a Yanners and Hime t-shirt upstairs and I don't really wear them anymore. And it's because, like, Nianos has left, even though she was a founder. So I'm like, oh, that's weird. And there's clearly like some infighting going on behind the scenes, but really the only one who came out positive has been Iron Mouse.
Yeah.
Iron Mouse has been the only one who's been like relatively squeaky clean, far from perfect. And I think her being positive in spite of her company is I think that speaks to her character potential.
Well, again, she's gone through enough in her life at the same time that she really is also one of those beacons. Like, she represents in a lot of ways what VTubers represented to a lot of people, especially going into COVID. She's not only an escape from the lonely depression of being isolated and dealing with all this crap, she's also sitting here like, look, I'm sick. I'm a bubble girl. Like, I have all these issues. It's possible I could be dead in a few years. I'm going to make the best of it. I'm going to make the best of it. I'm going to be uplifting, and I'm going to enjoy having you here with me. And, dude,
power to her.
And because her success and the ability for it to give her more options and a new lease on life. Sorry, I got a cough. She's basically got, because she's able to step outside for a bit. Like, last I checked, she's still got to be careful. Her immune system still got issues, but like, her success has allowed her to have that ability to live, and she pays it back.
Yeah.
So
someone who's not nominated here honestly reminds me a lot of Iron Mouse. And this is going to be a little controversial to say, but my boy, may he rest in peace, Young Crip Comedy. That dude was a spicy boy, but he also had a debilitating autoimmune disease that it stunted his development, and his body was just constantly attacking itself. He was in and out of the hospital a lot. And he passed away a few months ago, and I have some videos of his saved on my phone. That dude was hilarious. He did not let anything stop him from entertaining people, and love that. May he rest in peace. I hope wherever he's ended up, I wouldn't be surprised if it's in hell.
Oh,
but he'd be having it. He'd be having a good time there. He was something else. I might send you a video or two later.
We'll see, because some of the stuff you sent me, I'm just like, what the? All right. Now, most anticipated game. There's only.
I gotta see that.
I can understand what we're looking at in regards to anticipation, but the one that really gets me confused is Star Wars Outlaws.
There it is. That's the one right before. Okay, yeah, that's the
I got a notepad here.
Man,
hold on.
I
other games coming out in 2024. Dragon's Dogma 2. Metaphor Refantatio. As I said, Persona 3 Metaphor Refantatio is the Atlas Fantasy, Project Refantasy.
That game looked dope.
The Persona guy decided, I'm going to do a fantasy RPG instead, and then it looks like a Shin Megami Tensei game, just with more of a fantasy bent.
Yeah, I'm in. I'm all in. It's like
But what I'm not surprised isn't there is Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Because nobody is anticipating that anymore.
Also, is that even coming out next year? I don't even think that's been confirmed.
That's a good question. It was pushed back to next year. It's supposed to be this year.
Yeah, and then they were like, they saw some of the critiques and were like, yeah, maybe we should put this back in the oven a while.
Hellblade 2 comes out next year. Avowed is probably coming out next year based on what people have said.
Hellblade 2 should have definitely been on this list.
Black Myth Wukong, because ever since Black Myth Wukong was revealed, people can't shut up about it.
Ooh, that's right.
Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, which is a remake, just like Persona 3, but I mean, all of these games well, maybe not Suicide Squad. I'm just putting it there because it's also a big name, but I don't think like once it went live service, people were like, "Oh God, what are you doing to Rocksteady?" But all of these
Also,
games more anticipated than Star Wars Outlaws. I'll give Tekken 8
you
to the
missed one.
fighting game community, but I missed one.
You missed one.
What did I miss?
Madden 2025. Let's go, baby. The
like,
most realistic with totally new features football game.
but it's like, okay, Hades 2, I get it. Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, I get it. Tekken 8, I get it. Like your Dragon Infinite Wealth, that gets my vote.
That definitely
Star Wars Outlaws, though? That's really that?
They haven't shown anything from Star Wars Outlaws.
They showed like one gameplay thing, and it's like, yep, this looks like Uncharted-ish gameplay.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
It's there because it's got Star Wars on the name, I guess. I don't know. But it's like, there's so many other games coming out next year that it's like, really? That's up there? And it's like, at first I was like, well, maybe it's just games with release dates. But that's 1, 2, 3 have a release date. Hades 2 has no release date. Star Wars Outlaws has no release date. So it's like, well, I don't know what these people are thinking. But recognizing an announced game that has demonstrably illustrated potential to push the gaming medium forward. How?
It was so loud that your voice cut out.
Actually, that's a good question for each of these when you really think about it. Like, I mean, I love like Dragon Infinite Wealth. But if Sega proved anything, did you see how it took them like less than a year to make Like a Dragon Gaiden?
So the more I play it, the more I kind of feel that.
It's dude.
But
they wanted it to be more than a DLC. They thought about making it a DLC, but we're like, you know what? Let's just make it a game. And it's real fun, but it's like, I'm going to be honest, dude. I love this franchise, but it is the example of, all right, let's just take everything in the box, repaint some things, and just kind of build new stuff real quick. Like, Yakuza games are very much like this. So it's like, we're talking about pushing the gaming medium forward. Definitely not Final Fantasy 7 Reboot. And again, remake.
Yeah.
Tekken 8. Is it really going to do that? Like, again, Uncharted is the first thing that comes to mind. How different is Hades 2 really going to be when its previous game was still just a roguelike? So
when it like in defense of Tekken 8, this won't even be in defense. It's going to be, and we're going to get into this a little bit later, but I think Street Fighter 6 did some really, really cool things for fighting games as a whole. Tekken 8 is gonna to try and compete with that. I think it's gonna have a tough time. But honestly, I don't care about like main series Tekken. Give me Tekken Tag 3, please.
Tekken Tag 3. I imagine a lot of people would agree with you. It's a Cell Omega. How's it going, Cell Omega? Granted, also, I'm only taking the issue with them saying like potential to push the gaming medium forward, because that you don't need that for a game to be highly anticipated. That's just trying to talk up. They should just remove that for It's like
it's like
recognizing an announced game
forward. That's weird statement.
Recognizing an announced game that people are just absolutely jazzed for, because that's what it is.
Yeah.
Oh, pardon me. I'm sorry.
They should have put Madden on.
Best adaptation. It's probably going to be The Last of Us. The Last of Us is probably going to get it.
It's going to be The Last of Us for sure. And
I found out
Castlevania's here now, so I got to vote for it.
Of all people,
if anyone picks Gran Turismo, I swear to God,
because it's not an adaptation. It's not an adaptation of the game. But
it's also kind of. I don't know if you heard of the controversy of them rewriting history.
No. I discussed it in the Discord. Trust me.
Yeah.
So
I thought the Super Mario Brothers movie was fun, but I don't think it was anything special.
I watched the Almighty Lolly review of Twisted Metal, and I was surprised he actually enjoyed it. and he was surprised he actually enjoyed it.
It looks like fun.
The thing that gets me is Sweet Tooth. The voice was not him. The voice was what's his face from the Arrested Development show. I can't remember the guy's name. Voice Lego Batman, that guy. The voice was that guy, but the physical acting was Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe is the body and physical performance of Sweet Tooth. And it's like, you know what?
All right.
That's cool.
If Samoa Joe was actually Sweet Tooth, I would be all about it. I'd be here for it.
Well, the thing is, hearing Samoa Joe in AEW, it's like, why didn't you have him do the voice performance? He could have done it. He's Samoa Joe. He's got a great voice. But so that's actually really cool. The thing is, The Last of Us is going to be the winner. We all know it's going to be.
It is.
I don't have Netflix right now, so I haven't watched Castlevania Nocturne. I didn't think it was out yet.
Yeah, I missed it. And I don't have Netflix either, so
time to pirate.
But I'm picking Castlevania out of principle.
I mean, it's the only one that I've really seen, so I'm just voting Super Mario Brothers movie out of honesty. I mean, and honestly, they took a no story game and did it justice. So they did a good job with it.
What if somebody messed up and they had the box art of the 1993 Mario Brothers movie on there?
Oh God. I'd still vote for it. I'd still vote for it.
Yeah.
The only way I wouldn't vote for it is if you had the Street Fighter movie on there.
I actually have that on.
Oh,
Thanks, Vince.
Dude, hold on. Do I have it over here? Do I have this Super Edition?
I also got all the Resident Evil movies too. Thanks, Vince. Appreciate it.
Look at that. Look at how gorgeous that is.
Oh, man.
And on the back, can you see that? Oh, you're laughing.
Oh, I can see it.
The mic wasn't captured. I love it. It's like a red and blue. You open it up, and it's just this beautiful. Oh, it comes with bison bucks.
God. Okay, that's.
I love this movie. It's so stupid and it's so bad, but I love this movie. Dude, you have no idea. Like, that's the thing. I knew it wasn't going to be fun, but I put on the just to have background noise during work. I put on the Dead or Alive movie on YouTube because it's free for me, and I'm just sitting there.
Is it actually just on YouTube? Oh my God.
Well,
no, I need to watch it.
I do have YouTube Premium. I cut all the streaming services, but I got YouTube Premium because every content creator you watch gets more money than if you were to watch an ad.
Oh,
so, yeah. And if you don't watch an ad, if you skip an ad, they don't get money at all. So, unlike all the other streaming services, as much as I don't like giving money to evil companies like Google, it at least gives a good cut to all the content creators I watch. So,
yeah. All right, that's at least that.
But a nice bonus is free movies, and the movies, dude, I've been watching more movies than I had when I had Hulu and Netflix.
Yeah, maybe YouTube is the sleeper.
YouTube kind of is the sleeper. Backwards? I'm working backwards. Yes.
Okay.
Because I figure you save the last the game of the year for last, kind of a thing. Best multiplayer, except for Mario Brothers Wonder, I actually didn't play any of these. But even then, I didn't even know Baldur's Gate 3 had multiplayer.
It does, and I have friends that love it. They absolutely love it.
So it's a co-op multiplayer?
Yeah, it's kind of like a D&D experience. So
I guess I could see that.
Or you're progressing together.
I guess in my mind, I'm just looking at some of the. I love how this one's sponsored by Discord. I guess in my mind, I'm just looking at this list, and I'm musing over two things. One of which being Exoprimal is not on here, That says a lot about that game being dead, because if it was going to be in any category, this would be it.
Oh boy, yeah, Exoprimal.
Exoprimal is going
I'm
to
so
be.
glad I didn't jump in on it like monetarily. 'Cause if I
It's
had like a PS5, I would have paid more.
Game Pass was the good choice.
Hmm.
Not getting the season pass was a good choice. And then when Remnant 2 came out, that was all she wrote. I haven't touched Exoprimal since Remnant 2 came out. Now, granted, nobody else hopped on board Exoprimal with, like, because I think you were playing it a bit. Zach might have played it a bit, but we never had a time to get together and play it as in a group match. But
Once I found out how it played, I was like, this is not okay.
the thing is,
I was I was
the
very whelmed.
the mechanics were solid, and that's the biggest problem. Is
They are.
there's like the skeleton of that game is solid. It is Wolverine's adamantium skeleton in regards to the game mechanics. The problem is it's everything else. It's like they
I
grafted
didn't.
dog food onto it. It's
Yeah,
not.
it's like I didn't expect it to play like Overwatch and be like different stages. I thought it was going to be more like a Left 4 Dead kind of thing.
And I think they would have done better with that direction, but
Oh,
nobody
they
wants to
totally.
go that direction anymore. And I'm sorry if you can hear dogs outside. The one
Nope.
dog doesn't like the other dog, so they bark a lot. The but like the Remnant 2 was really good because it's just a campaign. It's a campaign. You play it with your friends. It does have procedural generation, but not like to the point that it's an awful map to an extent. And if you play co-op
Right.
with your buddy, it is great. It's phenomenal. Iron Pineapple and his buddies were like, I wish Dark Souls had co-op this good, which is kind of a good comparison because Remnant is, what if we take the co-op experience of other games like Halo and Destiny and stuff and Left 4 Dead and then combine it with Dark Souls and Dark Souls
Yeah.
boss fights, and it works. They knew how to put it together and make it work. Remnant 2 is great. It is definitely the most fun I've had multiplayer. Why are you aware
You have it
Move-It's
on
not on
PC or
here?
Xbox, by the way.
I have it on Xbox.
Noted. Probably not going to get it soon because there's a lot happening, but at least
The
I know.
Yeah, why are you
Also,
aware it on here? But then again, I heard a lot of people were disappointed in it.
I mean,
Granted, we only played it
I
for like
think
what, 2 hours or an hour? Like we played it a bit during the extra live stream, but it was fun.
yeah. The so I think people WarioWare is a hard sell because it is always something that is very short, and now it demands like near full price. Like I think this was $50 and not 60,
I
but
think
still that
I think one of the complaints was also the Joy Cons were not up to snuff for the motion control, but I think we found it
I could,
fine. But we were playing
well,
it
there's
as a party
one
game,
game in
so
particular.
mm.
There's one form in particular where it wants you to use the infrared. That's when it gets
Oh,
dicey.
okay,
That's when it gets that's when it's hard to kind of pin down. Um,
okay.
that one's not great. But I think as a whole, I think it's super fun. It's like I set my expectations as all right, it's going to be a short game. It's going to be a short it's always going to be a short game, but this one feels way more substantial than previous ones that I played. Um and I love WarioWare Smooth Moves on the Wii. The fact that it's not here is kind of interesting, but maybe it was too late. I don't know. I loved it though. I think it's super super fun,
I think
and
early
definitely
November
one
is the cutoff,
for
but I
future
don't
games.
know. I mean, for me though, I mean, again, it's another issue where the only game here I've played is Super Mario Brothers Wonder, so I'm kind of obligated to vote for what I know.
Right.
I haven't played Street Fighter 6. I'm also not big
Love it.
in competitive these days. It's probably really good competitive, but I don't do that much. Party Animals is a streamer's game, so I imagine it's a lot of fun, but not the kind of thing I'm
It's
going to sink a
Party
lot of
Animals
it
is
time
like in
into.
the same vein as yeah, not Fall Guys, but Gang Beasts. It's in the same vein as like Gang
Yeah,
Beasts.
yeah. Baldur's Gate 3 sounds like it provides a unique experience that there's not a lot of competition in. So I can see why people would love it for that. So I can understand its purpose here, given your description. Diablo 4
Yep.
is the one where it's like, are you sure there isn't anything better than this out there this year? Because every one of these serves a purpose, except, are you sure? Are you sure about Diablo 4? So I'll go
I
with
know
Mario
some
Brothers
people
Wonder,
were
but
I know some people were enjoying Diablo 4. But I like as far as the conversation goes, I've heard more about party animals. I've heard a ton about Baldur's Gate 3, and I know a ton of my friends are actually playing that multiplayer. Um, and Street Fighter 6, the fact that it's got crossplay that works as well as it does, um,
that's
big fan of that.
yeah, that's
I
definitely
was
a
able
thing.
to play against my friend who's on a PS5,
It's
and
also the
all of
only
our creative characters and whatnot carry over. So it's
it's
like
the only
it's really nice.
competitive game on here too. Actually, you know what? Because not only did we just play multiplayer for Mario Brothers Wonder together, but
Mhm.
I originally I played it solo, right? But ever since
Yeah,
then, I played it all with the online on, and it
kind of like
I like it. It's Nintendo taking the Dark Souls, simultaneous play idea,
yeah,
only making it Nintendo. It's like
yeah,
how do we do this other than messages? You're not leaving messages for one another. You're
yeah.
leaving ways to help each other keep each other from dying, or
Yep.
provide hints in a creative, fun way, where there is no risk of large chest ahead or something like that, or
Yeah,
try
or
two
gamer word.
fisting or something like that, or yeah.
Try finger butthole.
There you go. That's what I was searching for. All right. Yeah, this isn't yeah, not my bag. Mario Kart's not on here, therefore yeah, I mean,
You know what? Just for S's and G's, I'm voting, and it's gonna be Hot Wheels.
the only thing against it from my understanding, and this is based on talking to people about the first game, is microtransaction hell.
Ooh,
It evidently had really bad monetization. Otherwise, when it comes to reputation, um Forza Motorsport. But then again, at the same time, this is sports and racing, and we've got one, two, three, four racing games, and then EA Sports Football Club.
yeah. What's up with that?
Maybe it's just more racing games, but again, this is part of what I talk about too. It's like it's
It's-
everything that's like high profile. It's like because
yeah,
on the
and
indie circuit, there's got to be stuff coming out that people are
I'm
talking
actually
like.
keeping an eye out on the EA presence here because something's a little interesting.
Codemasters and EA Sports were also F123. So that's two EA um, titles present. But I'm not voting, so best sim/strategy, and this is where we get into the territory of you guys could split these up and actually get a lot more representation of independence. If
Yeah,
strategy was its own thing and simulation was its own thing, right? Like,
yeah.
or and this is actually they don't have enough categories for and again, Jeff Keighley loves to talk about things like diversity and representation, but he doesn't do it in the games themselves. The games
It's
themselves
true.
are the same handful. There's so many games that come out, and this is what the normies would have heard of. But even the Oscars don't work that way. Right? Now, granted, part of that's because the Oscars are absolutely snooty. They're they're
Yeah,
they're
you're like, it's got to be art.
they're
Whereas
sniffing,
this is
yeah, they're
more like,
sniffing their own farts kind of a thing.
yeah,
This is the exact opposite where they're pretending to be snooty and all their selections are like, oh, so it's everything everyone's heard of. But it
this
creates
is
these weird mishmashes. And again, Fire Emblem Engage is a tactical RPG, So does it belong in the same breath as Company of Heroes 3 or Pikmin 4?
And where's like the new Rune Factory? I feel like that could be in here. Or is that no? Wait, that's more of a Story of Seasons. There's a new Story of Seasons, wasn't there? Why is that not here?
Yeah, farming simulation may as well be its own category. There's
Yeah,
so many cozy games.
that should be in Sim. Like there were a bunch of Sim games.
That's why Sim should be its own thing. I mean, there's more than just City Skylines 2, and that came out from an independent, right? It's like there's so many independent games you could be shining a light on that have potential. I mean, something like Factorio is more of a puzzle game, I guess. But like, there's games that come out from the indie scene that are trying for this kind of a thing and get ignored. They don't even get a seat at the table.
And we and it's dude, we have 3 Nintendo games, bro. Come on, like that's a bit much.
Yeah, especially like I don't know. It's like Pikmin 4 feels like it should be in a different category, even though technically it does fall in line with like the real time strategy ish thing. But
Kinda,
like
yeah.
you can't have too many categories. But it's like you need to split some of these genres up. And reconsider some of your categorization because Fire Emblem Engage is a role playing game, but it's what I played, therefore it's getting the vote. And it's really good for what it is, but
I have interest in Advance Wars 1 and 2, but I haven't gotten around to it.
I also
with Pikmin 4.
I never played.
I think I'm gonna abstain. Normally I don't.
Best family game. God.
Mario, done, easy.
Well, again, I'm sitting here.
Sonic Superstars.
Look at it, and again, like WarioWare doesn't get in here. Disney Illusion Island does instead. Yeah, Mario easy. But best family game is not a bad idea for a category, but again, it's like you get you get no real representation because we have three games from other categories. One that this is the only category it appears in, so it feels token. And then you have Sonic Superstars, which I don't remember if this comes in any other category either.
The fact that Sonic is nominated is kind of mind blowing to me. Because I found this game to be pretty mid, you know, and as a family game, sure, but as a family game, it would be incredibly frustrating. No, actually.
I mean, no. I'm gonna just let you. I mean, because it's Sonic for me, so by all accounts, for me, it's the inferior option. But I'd probably still pick it over Disney Illusion Island.
I think Disney Illusion Island looks cool just because of the animation. And I know it's calling back to the old Illusion games.
Yeah. But it's not by Capcom. I do have
the Game Gear one, which is really good, actually. But it's like, man, it's weird that there's like that. It feels like there's slim pickings here, and no, there is not. There's when it comes to the family category, there were Hot Wheels Unleashed could have been in here too.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. Like Kirby's Return to Dreamland was a remaster / remake, so maybe that doesn't count. Yeah, that
came out.
Maybe that doesn't count, but it's that could be. Granted, it would be another Nintendo title. What else did I
picked Sonic over Kirby?
I feel like there was something else that I saw on the list of releases this year that was like, oh wait, that could have been a family game, but
I think there's quite a there.
This is they don't have something like Sifu in here. I'm fine with this. I don't know what other fighting games came out, but we got
Sifu in last year?
We got an indie, and we got I guess Nickelodeon All Stars Brawl 2 is a thing. Another indie. Like, okay, I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this category. I haven't played any of them.
I've never even heard of God of Rock.
I did. It looks okay. Not quite my thing. It's like a rhythm game fighting game, which again, rhythm game. They don't have a category for that.
I would have been honestly, I would have been all about Mortal Kombat if not for two. And it's two things that I really want them to address, and they probably never will. One, I when it comes to the actual gameplay, when it comes to actually playing it, it is all about input queuing. So you need to put in the button combination, but because everything is incredibly well animated in Mortal Kombat, and I think that's amazing. But that means that every single character has a different like timing of like warm ups and cooldowns for each regular punch and kick. So it's like you don't really. It's really hard to tell if you dropped a combo until you see it happen on screen. Like there are sometimes you feel like you have done it correctly, and then your character is just standing there, and then you just get wailed on, and it sucks. It's a terrible feeling. Whereas Street Fighter, it doesn't matter if you're doing light, medium, or heavy punch or kick. When you're just doing those regular hits, they immediately come out. There's like hardly any frame time.
This is funny because Bluest Things in the Discord, right now he's only playing fighting games, and he's been doing that because he's getting big into the tournament scene in his area. And he's certain that Mortal Kombat 1 is going to be the big one that wins. Because he's like, oh, this is what the fighting community is all about right now, and blah, blah, blah. And you're telling me, and you're like the other big fighting game guy I know. And you're basically sitting here telling me, like, you know, it's good, but... And I'm going to be honest, lifelong grudge against Mortal Kombat being popular here because I never liked the original ones. So I'm going to vote Street Fighter 6 even though I ain't played none of them. But I find that fascinating because he's so certain about Mortal Kombat 1 being, you know, it's going to be the big one. It's going to win. Like, it's what people are talking about. And you're coming in here and being like, here's the mechanical reasons. And that's the thing. Input queuing is like, dude, people don't even like that in the Dark Souls games, right? Like the Farm Software games. So putting that in a fighting game
is at its worst.
Because Bloodborne's really fast.
Yeah.
Even though Bloodborne's
if you press the attack button too many times, you're committed to that. Like
Bloodborne's so good though.
It is. But so, but at the same time, I will be fair. I haven't played Mortal Kombat 1, so I don't know if it's any better or worse.
Oh, you're talking about previous experience.
Right. And that's why I haven't jumped on Mortal Kombat 1 because I could see it in the animations that it looks very similar, but maybe a tad faster. I would prefer if whenever you throw out a punch or kick, that it's instant. But when you do like a special move that requires a combination of inputs, those should have. Those are the ones that you should be knowledgeable. And also, my other point for Mortal Kombat is stop with the guest characters. Stop it.
But people love them.
Do they though? Do they? Because
according to Bluest Things, yes.
because when the Xenomorph was in Mortal Kombat 10, okay, they gave the Xenomorph the same kind of moveset that a Tarkatan, aka Baraka, who is a Mortal Kombat character, they gave the Xenomorph a Tarkatan moveset. Why not just have Baraka that everyone wants in the game instead of like just throw his moveset onto some guest character from a different property?
So wait, Baraka wasn't in the game, but the Xenomorph has the moveset.
Yes.
It sounds like they had an incomplete Baraka that they decided not to ship and reskinned it.
And then sold it as DLC.
That's weird.
Because Xenomorph wasn't out right away. Also, the Terminator. So, cool. And it just like, it makes it just hard for me to take it seriously when you have like movie property. Like, okay, we have, what's his name?
It's like
The Boys.
It's like a gritty Smash Brothers.
Yeah, except Smash Brothers plays better. Anyway, I was speaking of Smash Brothers. I was hoping we would get like some kind of Mortal Kombat representation in Smash, and we got none of it. Not even me costume. Can you like? That's kind of wild. I was hoping we could get Ryu versus Scorpion or Sub-Zero or something.
Oh man,
Ah,
it doesn't fit Nintendo's friendly image, but Bayonetta does.
yeah, Bayonetta does.
So best RPG, the weird thing. So for the best game
All
design
right, I gotta see this one.
with rich player character customization and progression, the biggest complaint against Final Fantasy 16 was the lack of customization and progression, the lack of RPG mechanics, and how it was more of a character action game was the biggest complaint of Final Fantasy 16. And the thing is, player character customization and progression. So Armored Core 6 is eligible, right?
It should be. You'd think it would be.
Because it's practically a role-playing game considering all of the customization of your mech available, more than what Final Fantasy 16 has. So part of this is just where we are when it comes to genre definitions now. It's not completely the fault of, you know, whoever's doing the nominations or categorizing these games, but like, I'm glad to see Lies of P getting some love.
Yeah.
And Final Fantasy 16 looks like a lot of fun. They're throwing Microsoft a bone.
I think Baldur's Gate is going to take it, but I think
Baldur's Gate is going to take everything.
I don't know about everything. We'll see, because I think I like, because while that game's popular, I think people also like it's not unless you've been keeping up with like unless you have a PC that can play games and a modern console, you might not actually have Baldur's Gate. You might be just maybe watching it on the peripheral, and it's.
I mean, if you have a PS5 and a PC, because Xbox doesn't matter right now.
Oh, it's not on Xbox.
Yeah, exactly. It will be, but it doesn't matter that it's not on Xbox. Because let's face it, I mean,
and that makes it even tougher then.
But a lot of people have PS5s and a lot of people have PC. No, granted, that makes Final Fantasy 16 the real odd one out there, because it's only on PS5, not even on PC.
For now. They're
gonna box that. Glad to see an indie, but again, it's like, can we have indie RPG as its own? Because there's a lot of really good independent role-playing games out that are just never going to compete. And again, like for me though, again, like maybe it is best to split this category up. Indie RPG, action RPG, and just base RPG, which covers other combat systems that are more based on like party or group dynamics. Because this is a character action game with RPG mechanics. This is a difficult action game with RPG mechanics. This is a first-person shooter with RPG mechanics. Like this category does not feel correct. And at this stage, I am not comfortable voting for anything, because I need to start Lies of P and I need to start Sea of Stars. I'm never going to play Starfield. Final Fantasy 16, I'm waiting for the PC port. So it's like, for me to vote, it would logically be between two games, and I haven't played either one of them. But
I'm gonna vote for Sea of Stars, because I played that game a lot and I really enjoy it. It's far from the best RPG. It's more of like nostalgia bait. But the systems that it has in it, I think, are really solid and are just fun to play. It's really like the fact that just regular battles are fun, and I want to actually get into the battles and not actively avoid them, says a lot for this kind of game. So
yeah,
it is just crazy fun to play. So I'm gonna vote for it. I think Baldur's Gate 3 is probably gonna get it. I wouldn't be surprised if Final Fantasy 16 gets it. If Starfield gets it, I will actually be kind of upset.
I would be too, but it sounds like Bethesda's lost a lot of its sway over its fandom. It sounds like a lot of people aren't happy with it. Granted, there are going to be people that are playing the crap out of it and insist it's one of the best things, but and it's going to be
I've
doing
heard
good numbers. Like people
it is
subscribed
the
for it.
best. It's the best of their style that I attempted to play, but it is still at its core a Bethesda RPG. And also, how do you have a space exploration game and no aliens that you can interact with? How?
Uh, I'll come back to this
Okay.
category later. Action
And
adventure. I
yeah.
hate the idea of this category, but it also, but for the best action slash adventure game, combining combat with traversal and puzzle solving. So this actually really helps understand what they're defining it by.
Yeah.
Combat. So it's of course action oriented. Traversal. So it could either have platforming or it could have puzzle solving or both.
Uh
It's Star Wars Jedi
man.
Survivor. Like, really? This is on here and not Dead Space.
Yeah, honestly, like Dead Space should be on here. It is an EA game, so why like
There's a lot of stuff that should be on here. Again, what's preventing Lies of P from being on here? Well, then again, it is more action
right.
game, but it doesn't really have the puzzle mechanics or
No, but
traversal.
it's got 2 out of 3 though. The combat and traversal.
Well, maybe it has
So
traversal.
I'm
I mean, I'm inclined to either vote Resident Evil 4 or Legend of Zelda, not just because they're the two that I played, but because I played Alan Wake 1 and I played Control, and at this point I do not expect much from Remedy. Um Everyone's going to love them, everyone's going to praise them, and I'm just going to sit here and be like
not everyone.
these guys are mid.
Listen, I'm gonna put it this way. All right. Um, I think Remedy they're almost like the ideas guy. You know,
Yes.
where
And they're not even
they have they have good ideas, but they don't get 100% realized. Sometimes they don't even get 50% realized. But sometimes I get something unique out of it that I haven't seen before or have gotten since. And it would be cool to get that actualized at some point. And sometimes that's enough.
I think
Sometimes that's enough.
the greatest tragedy to me with Alan Wake is I found out originally
Right.
they were making it an open world game where during the day you scavenged for items and during the night you had to hunker down. The problem was they couldn't really tell the story they wanted with this format, but you can get glimpses of that design when you have a couple moments where you have to stand your ground and fight off against enemies. And
Mm.
especially where they have like little environmental things you could use to your advantage. Those are the best parts of the game. And they make me really wish they stuck to their original vision and found another way to work the story into it. Cause man, that would have been a better game.
And like, dude, when playing Control, I could see like similar kinds of things where it's like, okay, this is actually pretty great, but
I hated this
but
story. Hated this story.
um
The story was so bad.
I mean, what story?
I think
And that's the thing. That's the thing for me is like I wasn't there for the story. Like kind of like the Evil Within for me. I wasn't there for the story. I was there for the ride.
I could see that. When it comes to
But that's also how I approach it.
these nominations, I think I honestly have to vote Resident Evil 4. As a remake, I have mixed feelings. But you're taking one of the best games ever made, right? You're
Mm-hmm.
taking 2005's Resident Evil 4, one of the best games ever made, and for a lot of the reasons no one can replicate. Again, Dead Space, heavily influenced by Resident Evil 4, not as good. Resident Evil 4, you could go back and play today and have a great time because its combat does stuff no other game does.
It's
And Resident Evil 4 carries that forward, and it's not just doing the same thing. I was worried the quality of life improvements would interfere with that ability to do those things, but no, they managed to really. All of my reasons for not immediately liking it more than the original has nothing to do with the gameplay.
Yeah.
If you get rid of my issues with a lot of what they did with the tone and the story, then Resident Evil 4 Remake is easily a. I'm still not comfortable calling it a superior product, but it is. It is one of the best games ever made. Right?
I'm gonna say that it is a. This is how you successfully modernize. This is how you successfully take something that was old, bring it to the modern day, but don't replace the original, because they didn't replace it, thank God. Um, or at least not yet. We're gonna see as the remakes continue. Um, but it's the core ideas of the original are still there, because Nitro Rad on YouTube had like said it the best. When you're playing the original, it's like a dance, right? You are doing so many split-second decisions,
Yep.
right? So many. And when you have the controls down pat, you're just like you're just popping dudes left and right despite the tank. And it's because it's so well built around its limitations.
It's not just that, it's about like swapping weapons instantly. Like
Mm-hmm.
now you don't even have to go into the case menu. But like
No.
you're right. I mean, there's stuff that and it's going to be in my end of year video. My year in review video, but Resident Evil 4 might not have the exact same design cuz again, Dead Space same basic design. You approach combat the same way because it's almost the same thing.
Almost, yeah.
Resident Evil 4, because of the controls, it's not the same thing, but they understood the philosophy and they understood
Yep.
what the idea of the combat was, and it's resourcefulness. It's constantly making updates. It's constantly changing your tactics. It's always being on the move, and they did it incredibly. And so, like, and again, like the other only other game I would vote for here is Tears of the Kingdom. But Tears of the Kingdom, honestly, some of the best stuff was the same stuff from Breath of the Wild.
For me, not so much.
I didn't like as much of the sky stuff. I didn't like as much as the underground, and their temples were still not great. In fact, I found them hit or miss.
No.
Some were great, some were complete
I like the
miss.
Gerudo one. I thought the
Gerudo one was great. But here, it's the thing I will give Tears of the Kingdom is a great finish.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great way to conclude things.
Absolutely a great finish.
But
I streamed that and I was like, I was happy.
Breath of the Wild was the achievement. Tears of the Kingdom is not an achievement. Resident Evil 4 is an achievement because this is the easiest thing to screw up and the hardest thing to get right. So, best action adventure, Resident Evil 4. And this will probably carry on to the final category when we get around to it.
I'm actually going Tears of the Kingdom because my reasoning for that is because while I enjoyed Breath of the Wild, I think it's actually, well, ignoring the CDI games, I think it's the worst Zelda. I think it's a great open world game. I think it's a great adventure game. I don't think it's a good Zelda game at all. I had a good time with it. It didn't scream Zelda to me. Tears of the Kingdom came closer, but still. But the major factor for me was that when I was exploring in Tears of the Kingdom, I was being rewarded with things that weren't just things to, like little trinkets to increase my health or my stamina. I was getting armor sets, which helped change the way I approached situations, change the way I played the game. Like, you had builds now based on armor. It hasn't been in a Zelda game before,
You
and that was
technically had
nice.
that in Breath of the Wild, but it was.
Not nearly as vast.
I think they did a better job making it easier as well. Because there was like one or
Yeah,
two fairies that were easy to find in Breath of the Wild, but the other two less so. It was
yeah.
a lot easier to find the fairies in Tears of the Kingdom. But in some ways, I understand what you're saying, though, because my favorite is Twilight Princess, but I feel like
Oh, really?
we do not have a best 3D Zelda game. Ocarina of Time was
Nah.
great and was the best for a while, but now we are so far removed from that in terms of time and what we could do that I feel like there's a better 3D Zelda that could be made and Nintendo hasn't made it yet. And right now, Breath of the Wild is going to be their approach going forward. So we might not get the best potential 3D Zelda, at least from Nintendo.
Unless they manage to actually get some dungeons in, some proper dungeons in the next one, then we can get closer.
Oddly enough, Best Action Game is now feeling like the dumpster of we don't know where else to put it. For the best game in the action genre, focused primarily on combat.
Hi-Fi Rush.
I might not agree. Um,
I mean, I haven't played
Ghost
Remnant
Runner
2.
2 feels so out of place. So does Dead Island 2. These two feel so out of place. It's like, you're kidding me? Like, there aren't any other better action games you guys played this year? I'm pretty sure if I look through my list of games I played through and beaten.
Dead Space.
It,
Dead
yes.
Space could be here. At least we got Armored Core, but like,
oh, finally, and that's the thing. I remember I was working when I watched the nominations video, and I'm sitting there like, man, dude, did From Software pee on someone's dog? Why is Armored Core not anywhere? No, it's finally in there in the best action game category. Dead Island 2 is like, did that come out? Right? Ghost Runner 2, it's like, okay, yeah, it's fine, I think. I mean, the first one was the second one feels like it just came out of nowhere. Like, by the way, we got a sequel.
You're not the only one I've heard say that.
Hi-Fi Rush for me, I really liked it, but it wasn't as much my jam as it was other people's. I think it was mostly, it came out at the right time of year and was the right thing from Microsoft at the time, especially when you're looking at Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony all doing their here's our presentations for what to expect from us this year. And Hi-Fi Rush
comes out swinging,
but is also unfortunate for Microsoft because now the standard's suddenly up here. It's like, Microsoft, we know you could do this, and then Redfall happens. And it's like,
oh,
ooh. And so
yeah,
we're right back down to expecting nothing out of Microsoft, right? Except, some people still Starfield and all that. But Hi-Fi Rush is a good game. I love its art style. I liked the writing and the story, which surprised me.
Yeah.
Especially
considering
the trailer
was terrible.
The trailer was terrible.
It was
but
bad.
the combat, character action and rhythm doesn't gel with me as well as theater rhythms, our RPG and rhythm game gels with me. So for me, Hi-Fi Rush is, of the 3 games here I've played, Hi-Fi Rush is number 3. Remnant 2 feels like it's in the wrong category. But that's also because I feel like shooters really ought to be their own category. And Remnant 2 is also an RPG shooter, so there's that too. It's as much, I mean, it's a Soulsborne multiplayer game. It's either best multiplayer or best RPG with Lies of P, because if this is here, Lies of P should be here too. Or if Lies of P is in best RPG, then Remnant 2 should be in best RPG. It's like, you guys need to get consistent here. But Remnant 2 is also only as good as it is when you're playing multiplayer. Patrick. Hat trick, Patrick.
Flying Ramble
But
Eggs.
honestly, the first chapter of Armored Core 6 was fun, but it also left me like, man, am I going to have to grind in this? Am I going to really enjoy this? The more I played of it, though, this game's really good. Armored Core
I need to get
6.
back into it because
I
I
th-
know that there's a good game there. I just haven't. It just hasn't opened up for me. It hasn't hit me yet.
Remnant 2 was a close second. And the thing is, too, for both of them, neither one of them, well, Remnant 2's main, like, story is very simple. It's not really that great. But the stinking lore in Remnant 2 was incredible. Armored Core
Okay.
6 doesn't have the lore of a typical FromSoft game, but the story going on is really good, too. So for me, it's like these two games are definitely two of my favorites of the year. But for this purpose, I think I need to go with Armored Core 6.
I gotta get Remnant some. Eventually, maybe next year. Might stream it. We'll see.
It might be on sale during the Game Awards.
That's true. That's true. They normally have like a Game Awards sale. Keep an eye out.
Now, I don't play VR games, so
Resident Evil.
I'd be tempted to, but I hear Gran Turismo 7 is great in VR, and honestly, I can understand why.
That would be.
So, but I'm not going to vote for anything because I haven't played none of these.
I've seen Synapse, and there's some cool ideas there. I'll give them that. But like, listen, you've got Lady Dimitrescu picking you up in VR. Okay, that's a vote. That's a vote.
Mobile game I'm probably not going to vote for anyway.
I'm not voting any of these.
I'd be tempted with
Monster
Honkai
Hunter
Star
not.
Rail because it's an actual video game at least, just with gotcha. But yeah, Monster Hunter now it's like so Pokemon Go, but Monster Hunter. Gotcha. Oh, I love it. It's
Wow,
Shibuya.
okay.
You could tell it's Shibuya right there. That's funny. Now, best debut indie game.
Now this, I don't know how I did it. I forgot about Pizza Tower. Pizza Tower looks like a great time.
It looks nuts. It does. I haven't played any of these. I don't know if any of the games I played this year were from a debut indie developer. But the thing is, this is where you get into, again, when it comes to someone like Jeff Keighley or perhaps the Nominators. Like, Pizza Tower is the only one that doesn't fit into the artsy-fartsy definition of indie. Now, Cocoon,
I love
probably a good
love
game.
that guy.
Dredge, I know a lot of people loved it as like this horror fishing game, and it sounds interesting, but I don't even know what Venba's supposed to be. And I kind of do.
It looks like there's a family having fun together. So
I kind of hate the corporate / child book art style. Like the worst era of Penny Arcade was when Gabe was doing a lot of stuff like this. Viewfinder is one of those. Oh, what's the name of it? The game where you change like the perspective of everything, like not Aperture.
Superliminal.
Superliminal.
That game was fun.
I think Viewfinder is something like that, but this is another category. I didn't play anything. I'd be tempted to vote Dredge because even though I didn't play it, it's the one that sounds most interesting. Pizza Tower I've seen clips of, and it's one of those games where it's like I see the appeal. There's something missing that I'm not interested in giving it a try. I probably would enjoy it, but I'm just not interested.
It kind of reminds me of WarioWare. Not WarioWare, just Wario Land.
But
It's got a little bit of that.
The thing is, we're also going to see like a bunch of these nominations in another category, which once again comes down to it's like, did you guys just play like 5 indie games this year? In fact, it might be the last one because Pizza Tower is not in best indie game. It is in best debut indie game, but best indie game, we're looking at again Cocoon. We're looking at Dredge again, and we're looking at Viewfinder again. So Pizza Tower and the other game that I know is in the wholesome games or whatever, games for impact category. How's it going, AV Hobbies?
Boy.
The funny thing is, we've got ourselves a brand new controversy for this year, in that even the creator of Dave the Diver has argued they are not it wasn't an indie game, and they've talked about the funding for it. They've talked about all kinds of stuff. So, is this actually an independent game?
Wait, which one?
Dave the Diver.
Oh, okay, okay.
I'm not caught up on all
Interesting.
the details, but I think it begs an interesting question considering, is a game independent if a indie publisher helps fund it? So again, Cocoon,
Mm.
Annapurna Interactive is the publisher. Annapurna
Yeah, and Team
Interactive does it
17 was on Best Debut Indie.
because they were the publisher.
Uh-huh.
And that's the thing, and the publisher will help fund things. Thunderful
Right.
Publishing, they publish a lot of stuff. So is indie publishing itself a contradiction, an
It
oxymoron?
might be.
Especially when you think Annapurna Interactive. It's like Annapurna Interactive is therefore a arm of Annapurna, the film company, which is itself like they're like an indie film group, but are you? Because like, independent would suggest the developer being independent. What's weird is Sabotage Studio doesn't have a publisher here, but I felt like they had a publisher. But they went to Kickstarter, got a bunch of funds, and I believe they raised money elsewhere. But the fact that they don't have a publisher listed does suggest something more independent.
Yeah.
Again, like Dave the Diver, the developer themselves called into question whether they were indie or not, and they said they didn't believe they were. So now there's controversy over whether this should even be in here.
Or
And
is indie kind of like with music, indie rock, is indie just a style that
that's another
they're trying
good
to say?
question.
Yeah.
Like what
Because
actually
like
makes something indie? And
right.
again,
Is it minimalist and sprites and all that and nostalgia?
but part of the problem is this is again another, by leaving it to just one category, there are so many games that aren't even getting looked at or acknowledged.
Yeah.
It's almost like you need a separate award show for independent stuff because there's so much of it out there. Or
And you know
again,
what's unfortunate? Oh no, go ahead. Go ahead.
well, I was going to say, or again, like expand categories, make a separate simulation category, a separate strategy category, have action RPG as a category, have traditional RPG. We'll call it that for where you're controlling a party. Traditional RPG.
Yeah.
Um, and then
And then dungeon crawlers.
tactical RPG, because there's a lot of tactical RPGs that are releasing that are independent.
Yep.
So even if it's like, okay, even if we know Fire Emblem Engage would get more votes than Arcadian Atlas or any other kind of independent tactical RPG that released, even if you know it's basically the shoe-in winner, eyes are now put on that game. And people could say, I've never heard of this. Let me look it up. Oh, this looks neat. Instead, again, it's like the same game, and everyone's already heard of these games.
Yeah.
So only a handful of people are going to be looking and be like, I never heard of Dredge. Maybe I should give that a whirl. It's like, no, people have been streaming the crap out of this. People have been talking about it. It was a big deal.
Yeah.
And Cocoon, oh, actually, I forgot about this. That also begs the question because it said best debut indie game. I forget. Cocoon was made by half the team of Limbo and the other game by that studio. So does it really count as a indie?
Yeah.
Or debut indie, sorry. It's an indie, but does it count as a debut indie?
Yeah, like if essentially the same people are just renamed, that's a conversation. And yeah, AV Hobby says that the whole category is borked. I don't disagree. Yep. And you know, speaking of controversies, another controversy is regarding Sea of Stars. Do you know who's in it?
Oh no, is there a voice actor or voice actress that is controversial and stuff?
I mean, there's no voices in it, but Gerard the completionist is in there. He's in the game.
And considering what just broke last night and today,
Uh-huh. It could actually, the timing is terrible because it could actually hurt the game's ability to win stuff. Because he's in the game and he's been
I
known to be in it
think
for quite some time.
I think something like that they might give a pass to the developers. I would hope
Yeah.
at least. But and the thing
You know,
is,
I'm
so to give a little bit my own little bit quick, I am undecided on anything regarding guilt or innocence for him. But at the same time, he was very like when I watched the videos, he was very, very um offensive towards the other guys and almost accusatory about like, you guys are going to take this and just make content anyway. And it's like technically they're not making content, they're reporting. At this point it's
yeah.
actually straight up journalism.
Yeah.
So they're not just being cheap. Joe was like, this is something worth bringing to people's attention, and you could get ahead of this and make the announcement yourself with them. You could have
Yeah.
handled this to be like, look, I'm going to make the announcement myself. But the thing is, again, what looks bad is he said he found out about it in 2021. And if you're not familiar,
Well, first he said he found out about it. Yeah, I found out about it a few months ago. I've known about it since 2021, and I was like, okay, which is it, bro? That's not a few months ago.
and to explain, in case you're not familiar, the completionist and his family uh, made a what is a charity organization called Open Hands
Yep.
some several years ago, like around 2014, and they started doing an indie life charity stream annually, and it was led by the completionist. So he would do this charity stream. He would tell you who all the proceeds would go to. He would tell you
Mm-hmm.
these are like we've been supporting these companies. The website even claimed to be supporting these research organizations like the University of UC San Francisco. So University of California, San Francisco, like they basically doing all kinds of dementia research. They contribute.
Yep.
They were like we were putting all our money towards that. Only when you looked at the tax forms, you found that the money was just being piled up and piled up and piled up and never distributed to anybody.
Yeah.
Now
Nobody pocketed it,
nobody pocketed
but
it.
it didn't go anywhere.
And so, yeah, he's like, I known about it since 2021, been trying to get the money to go out somewhere. And it's like, okay, but then in 2022 and 2023, when you had your stream, you were still telling people that the money was going to these organizations.
Yeah. It's as Mudahar said. At worst, it's
It's
no. I
incompetence.
think at best, yeah, at best, it's like gross. Nonsense.
So
Um.
I'm not going to make any accusations. I mean,
Yeah.
we don't know enough, but I think, and also my statement is the best PR move that he and his family could do is hand over the reins of the organization to somebody else
Yep.
and be nothing more than promotional heads of it. But they need to not have any control over it anymore.
Yep.
And because at this point, trust has been broken. So
Yeah. It's like the donation drives are probably not going to happen again, and it's a shame. This could have been something good, but like at
I
the
think they still could. And there's also going to be people that are just going to be defending him. I'm curious what's going to
oh
happen.
yeah, I've seen it already.
I'm curious what's going to happen because Skill Up and they have their Friends Per Second podcast, and he's one of the hosts. So I'm wondering what's going to happen there. Because they're his
It's
friends. And are we going to have a Seth Rogen situation? Like Seth Rogen, James Franco thing? So I'm not
yeah,
voting for
it's
any of these because I haven't played them. All right. This
I'm voting Sea of
is
Stars.
this is one of the weirdest
Best
categories.
community support.
Best community support. And Destiny 2's on here? Really?
Yeah, that's a joke.
I mean,
Um,
I don't know. For outstanding community support, transparency, and responsiveness. Are you sure
definitely
about
not
that?
Destiny 2.
Inclusive of social media activity and game updates / patches.
So
You know what the joke about
there's
Destiny 2 is?
What, that they all got fired?
Well, no. For years, the gag has been, you know, if there's something that needs to be fixed in Destiny 2, no, they will never fix it. If there's an exploit discovered that helps people gain light faster, they will have it fixed the next day. So Destiny does not deserve to be in here.
Yeah, no. Absolutely not. Destiny does not belong in there. There could have been a ton of other games that could have been in its place. I would argue Call of Duty should be on there instead, and they definitely don't listen.
I mean, it's also just kind of weird. Like you'd think it would be mostly for like multiplayer games where you would need to be talking to the community support. So again, it's one of those things where I don't play any of these games. I'd be tempted to vote No Man's Sky just because of the reinvention, but we're so far in now they don't need it. So I'm gonna just skip. It's just it's a silly category that doesn't need to exist. I would drop this category.
I think this category, along with like best ongoing game, are very, very similar.
Best ongoing is a crowd pleaser. It's for the people, and having been part of a forum where people basically play one game religiously, and so that's their only vote every year. This is to give them a bone, right? The best ongoing is to give that kind of a player a bone.
So I'm on the fence because I want to vote. I do want to vote for this. And Baldur's Gate 3, I gotta hand it to them. They've been very, very, very active with their community.
All right, you're already. All right, hold on. You're back in community support. I already moved on to ongoing.
Oh, oops. Well, I haven't voted community, but yeah, Baldur's Gate, like Larian Studios has been very supportive, very involved with the community. And Final Fantasy XIV has been doing... Actually, no. For community support, if you pick Cyberpunk, all right, listen, don't let edge runners gaslight you, okay? The game came out and it was bad, and now it's mid. Don't let the anime fool you.
Honestly, what's going to have a lot of people...
what they gave...
What they took, you mean?
No, what they gave you at release. This is what
don't forget what they... Okay. Because that's the thing, like, why people would, I think, vote... Why I think Cyberpunk's even in here, because no other single-player game is going to be in here like this, is because with the latest DLC and latest patches, they made a lot of fixes to how AI works, to how weapons and everything work. It's still Cyberpunk, though.
It is.
So, and to me, that's like, it's a bland role-playing game. But best ongoing, getting awarded to a game for outstanding development of ongoing content that evolves the player experience over time. I don't think Final Fantasy XIV released anything this year, though.
I mean, they do a lot of community stuff, and people keep playing.
That's true. They do a lot of like events and everything.
And they have crossovers here and there too.
Again, I can't really vote for any of this. I know Apex Legends delivers on a schedule, so credit to them. And of course, Genshin Impact is just popular. But I would never give it to Fortnite or Cyberpunk. So, like, I don't.
I'm gonna shout this one from the rooftops. I'm gonna go over to the other side of the room.
Let's see if the mic picks it up.
I said Fortnite. I'm picking Fortnite. You want to know why I'm picking Fortnite? I haven't played Fortnite since like 2016 or 2017. I'm picking Fortnite because thanks to Fortnite, we don't have that like, licensed game shovelware so much anymore.
That's a good point.
Yep.
They shovel it into Fortnite or Mortal Kombat.
In Fortnite.
They shovel it into Fortnite or Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat is the Fortnite of fighting games.
Ooh, that's spicy.
Oh, I just got a hot take there.
and also, Fortnite got rid of they have a no build mode. So if you want to play the battle royale, you don't there's no building in it. So it's just a much more standard battle royale experience without somebody turning into a building at some point. So it's a lot more accessible now. So I'm giving it to Fortnite. Like, I haven't played it in years. I played it when it wasn't that popular. Yeah, I can say that. And the fact that we don't have garbage on our consoles anymore that is like,
I mean, we technically still kind of do. They released a Smurfs game out of nowhere. Like, why did they release a Smurfs game? I don't know why they made a Smurfs game. They just did.
That was a waste of money. They should have done. They should have done something with Fortnite.
They should have.
Because, like, think about it. It's a lot cheaper and it's win-win. Like,
let's go back a little bit. Yeah. Well, firstly, AV Hobbies was still complaining about Cyberpunk. AV Hobbies was like, spent $2.3K on a rig, and Cyberpunk says, no, I'm good. Patrick says, best ongoing means releasing a crappy unfinished game, and the development is ongoing because it was never finished in the first place.
Yep.
It always drops content. Oh god. Final Fantasy 14 or Fortnite for me. Those two constantly have stuff coming out. And Apex Legends. It does. Apex Legends is unrelenting in its pace. So I understand why it's there. But I don't play these games. So again, I've only put 9 votes in out of the 31 categories so far. Here we go. Games for impact. This is neither for in other words, games that aren't for me or you, and we can tell because Goodbye Volcano High is here. So
have you heard of Snoot Game? Have you heard of Snoot Game?
I've heard of Snoot Game. We're not going to discuss it, even though I know people like it better. We're just going to move on because, again, not for us.
I mean, Terra Nil is at least on Devolver Digital. That's a Netflix game? Yeah, out of principle, I can't. I just can't. I'm out of here. Innovation. Okay.
This is a category, again, like we discussed in the summer, right? We had our about difficulty modes, and one of the things we discussed was the idea of accessibility, and we are not really qualified to discuss it in this regard. I don't know, because these are the options we don't look at, because we don't need to look at them. We're fortunate in that angle. So I can't vote for any of these because I don't know which actually would be the best.
So I know who to vote for, and that's Street Fighter. And here's why. So Street Fighter has an optional control method where you don't do quarter circles, half circles. I have a controller right here, and like double taps and stuff like that. Instead, it's like you have your light, medium, and heavy buttons, and you have like a dedicated button that helps mix up combos. So like you hold that, you can mix it up, and then there's another button where you push a direction, and that does a character's like unique attack. All right, and then from there you can blend and.
AV Hobbies is saying that's not new though. That's from the DS version.
Well, okay, fair.
Again, I mean, the thing is, it also comes down to things like the vision. Like, do they have settings for color blindness or just hard of seeing? Do they have good hard of hearing options? All that stuff. This is stuff that, again, I don't look at those menu options because I don't really need them. So I mean,
sometimes I do.
I don't know what is or isn't the best. The most I look for is if I can hold a button instead of mashing it. And even then, sometimes my just stubborn old gamer brain is like, no, I can be a core gamer and mash it. So I'm stupid like that.
So I'm still gonna give it to Street Fighter because what they have done is given a control option that allows people that do not play fighting games because of the inputs to actually be able to play them. But at a caveat, and that is when you do this, because it is technically easier, you do less damage to your opponent. So you get to get into it and still understand the mechanics because it doesn't change the core mechanics. It just changes how you input them. And then once you get into it, you can decide to go back if you want. And it also makes it tournament acceptable. So I'm gonna hand it to them for that. Like the fact that I can have more people playing a fighting game that I love is always nice.
I can understand that.
Also,
I already hit the previous button.
well, just real quick, any game that has an option to make like the subtitles bigger is always nice because
That
text
I
options
will
are.
agree with. I will actually agree with because a lot of times I actually want the bigger font. So next is best performance, and honestly, this is usually who's actually Hollywood level or something. I don't know. Like I never really think about this unless there's a. I guess there hasn't been a performance this year that really stood out to me, and I feel like Idris Elba just kind of wins by default because he's Idris Elba.
Yeah, and I just voting for Cyberpunk 2077 just seems like a crime. I can't. I won't listen. I can't let that. I can't let that game live it down. That it came out and it was trash. It was trash. Don't let them. Don't let them make you forget. Okay. It was bad.
Don't ever forget. Never forgive. Never forget.
I'm
Um,
gonna. I've seen some of Neil's performance in Baldur's Gate 3, and I gotta say he's pretty good. Yuri Lowenthal. I mean, as Spider-Man, he was good in the first one, so I'm sure it's of the same quality, if not better.
Ben
So,
Starr's probably the other another good candidate, but I'm I said it on Discord. I feel like Melanie Liburd here, or Liburd, however you pronounce her last name, is the Ashley Birch of the year, in which I've heard the performance in trailers and other gameplay clips, and it's like I don't think you actually did a very good job. You sounded very bland and boring and bored. Oh, to that end, at least we don't have the actress for Ada Wong in here.
I was gonna say, oh, dude, that was she sucks.
Now that I think about it, yeah, it's like going back. Why don't we have anyone from Dead Space or Resident Evil 4 in here? Because I'm thinking of because I'm also thinking
Isaac
partially
Clarke
of
was
recent.
great.
Isaac Clarke was great. At the very least, the guy who did Lewis in Resident Evil 4 was really good.
Loved
Um,
him.
Ashley was really good. The voice
Ashley was good.
actress for Ashley actually deserves to be in here. So, yeah, this is weird. This is weird. Like, I'm starting
Neil
to wonder
legitimately
now. It's
did.
like, wow, why is this the selection of actors?
It is odd. It is odd.
Because I'm sitting here like, because some of the most recent games I've played, for example, so it's like, I mean, Armored Core 6, I like the voice performances, but is there anything that's really best performance? I don't know. But yeah, thinking on
I'm
it,
also
it's like,
surprised Leon Kennedy's voice actor isn't there. He was good.
yeah, I guess I didn't like his writing as much, but he was good. He did a good job.
Yeah,
Um,
he sold it.
there's a lot of performances that deserve to be here and aren't.
Neil. I did vote for Neil. I did vote. And I
Nah,
also didn't know that he was Heisenberg in Resident Evil Village. Heisenberg was great.
Heisenberg was good, but I'm not going to vote for him for that, just for that, because this is not his role. This is not for his role as Heisenberg. All right. Again, not voting for anybody. I don't really believe in any of these performances. Still only 9 out of 31 votes. Best audio design, Dead Space. Hi-Fi Rush is a close second, but Dead Space.
Yeah, it's a toss up between Dead Space and Hi-Fi Rush to me because Hi-Fi Rush is so ingrained in the gameplay and they did such a good job with it. So it's like, but Dead Space, when you hear certain noises, you know what's happening and you need to react accordingly. And that's like I liken that to Elden Ring and well Souls games in general, where when you hear certain sounds, you know what's happening.
Well,
It's
also
that's
you
real
hear
important.
you hear certain sounds and you're like, "Am I going crazy?" So Dead Space is
Yeah, that's
definitely
also
up there.
true.
Dead Space
Oh,
has a lot of that. And also it's got really good Foley effects for gore, death, monsters, the wrecking of ships, just and also just moments where you wonder if you're hearing a monster and it's just machinery. And AV
yeah.
Hobbies, I'm sorry you're mad now. Um and no, I haven't experienced Astarion. I'm not sure which character that even is, and I really don't care. Um Baldur's Gate 3 is not for me, is the most I will say.
I might get to it eventually. It's not my kind of game either, but the fact that it is what it is, it has me intrigued. You know what? Uh I think I'm going with Hi-Fi Rush.
For audio design?
Yeah, just because of how ingrained in the gameplay it is.
No, I could. If that wins over Dead Space, I will not complain. Because it's. Yeah.
Best score and music. Okay.
Hi-Fi Rush probably, because none of the. Well, that's the thing. I also haven't. Well, no, because I haven't heard anything but the Tears of the Kingdom, which I would not choose, and Hi-Fi Rush. But Final Fantasy 16, I know some of the music from the trailers and it was incredible. Baldur's Gate 3, I don't know any of the music, and Alan Wake 2, I don't know any of the music. So I'm kind of stuck with just two, even though I feel like they're
See, for Hi-Fi Rush, it's because it's me. The music doesn't speak to me. It's not my kind of thing. Tears of the Kingdom, I think it evoked a lot of, I don't know, it had some emotion to it that I appreciated.
Breath of the Wild music be like, sit this cat on a piano and record it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Yeah, it's much more atmospheric than it is anything else.
Yeah.
And I like music I can just turn on and listen to the soundtrack through, or like I'm walking around and I can just hear the music in my head. Right.
Yeah. And by all accounts, you know what? Mario Wonder should be here, because I remember those songs. I remember all of them.
It had a lot of good music.
It did.
It
has style to it.
I'm going to have to basically look up some OSTs online and listen. I have a feeling if I had played it, my vote would be for Final Fantasy 16. So I'll come back after I've listened to some music from these games and vote then.
Mario, no.
But until then, I am abstaining from voting for this category. I think we're getting near the end. Best art direction.
Yeah.
This is another one of those categories where it's, again, like the same handful of games. And okay, cool, Lies of P is nominated. That's really awesome. But you know what? Indie game 9 Years of Shadow came out this year. And you know what? Because I've talked about it. I played it.
Like Armored Core could be here because, you know, mechs and they look cool.
Let me see if I can mute it real quick. Here we go.
It's got a bleak design. Why is that not here?
9 Years of Shadow. Look at this game. Tell me this doesn't deserve an art direction. Like, this is gorgeous pixel art. Its artwork is part of everything, and the soundtrack's beautiful too. This game.
Oh, this game.
Yes. Yeah. This game deserves to be in this category. But did any of the people that were nominating games play 9 Years of Shadow? Right?
Oh, of course not.
And then you have Octopath Traveler 2 came out. And Fire Emblem Engage deserves to be there as much as Hi-Fi Rush because, well, no. Okay, that's a lie. Hi-Fi Rush does a lot better with the cell shading. But again, the art in Fire Emblem Engage is also great and wonderful.
Also, yes, Alan Wake 2 did just came out like 2 weeks ago.
Alan Wake 2 just came out, but the press would have been playing it like a month ago.
Yeah, the press had their hands on it for a while.
So
Fire Emblem has no unique style though. No, but like its execution is really good. It's like it really nails that medieval style.
If you mean it has no unique style and that it's anime, I would
Oh
take
yeah.
umbrage with that because even in anime, you can have really bad visual design, and I've seen it. I've seen any Smash Brothers character. Okay, no, that's not the. You've clearly never actually played a Fire Emblem. There's actually, well, there's actually plenty of Crom and Marth
He
and
also might
Roy
be
and
trolling, so
Gage.
careful.
Uh,
Beware.
that's a good point. He might
he, mi-
be.
he might be messing with you.
He also might just be letting his California out, being wrong all the time.
Andy Cornea.
Mario turns into an elephant, best art direction.
I mean, yeah.
This is one that I'm going to have to vote Hi-Fi Rush, though, because it all comes together beautifully and is the best cell shading we've seen in years. To the point that I saw this and I immediately wanted, like... Actually, the first thing that came to mind is I want a new Metal Arms with this kind of art style. And now that Microsoft owns Activision Blizzard, it's not impossible, but it's highly unlikely.
I'm gonna go with Tears of the Kingdom because I think Zonai added like a neat little tech aspect to it.
I do not agree.
Before it was like mostly magic, and I thought that like Zonai being machines like robots and stuff, I thought was neat. But otherwise, I'm pretty disappointed in this category. I'm like Lies of P is neat,
and it's got a really cool Victorian steam puppet.
No, you know what?
Aesthetic.
You know what? I'm changing my vote. I'm changing my vote
to
Mario Wonder. Screw you. Screw everyone. It's Mario Wonder. I don't care.
Well, that's the thing. Like the ones that make the most sense to me are Hi-Fi Rush and Mario Wonder. Because part of the problem is realism. Lies of P and Alan Wake 2 both go for realism. And you can't be imaginative or creative with realism in the same way that you can do with animation styles. Now, granted, that doesn't mean you can't be. And especially following film and, photography that they do with that, you can do really interesting art direction even with realism. But AV Hobbies just hates Mario games, evidently, man.
Yeah, well, my argument invalidates his because you get a little caterpillar who's on your head.
No, I mean, honestly, it is the best looking Mario game, especially. I love the look of it. And also, you can't underestimate when you see this game in action, you understand. If you see this game in action, you understand because just seeing like New Super Mario Brothers had the Koopa Troopas and stuff like dancing to the beat of the song. That's fine. That's cute. Seeing the Koopa Troopas look at you and squint their eyes and get like, oh, I'm going to fight him. Or when you have the fireball coming to them and they start panicking. Like, that stuff's great. That's part of art direction too.
I liked it. I love this game a lot. And Bowser isn't even Bowser. He's a castle. He turns into a building.
And he puts on a hard rock concert for the final boss fight.
It was crazy. I liked Odyssey because it's actually different. I like Odyssey.
Odyssey's fine.
Odyssey was a good time.
I like Wonder better.
Mario Brothers Wonder is the 2D game, the 2D Mario game we needed because it was. It actually did something different.
Best narrative. Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Again, I can't vote for any of these. I didn't play them.
Man.
And one of the reasons is because outside of Final Fantasy 16, none of them had a narrative that appeals to me. So, I mean, the funny thing is,
voting Baldur's Gate 3 out of principle.
I'd be tempted to vote Final Fantasy 16 because I actually guessed a whole bunch of the beginning already, and messaged Steve about it. I was like, "Is this the basic course of the opening prologue and everything like that?" And this is the premise of the game, and he's like, "You are surprisingly close." It's like, oh, it's like you're nearly there.
Oh, fuck this Alan Wake 2 for the 5th category.
But again, how many
is interesting narratively?
You haven't seen how many Baldur's Gate 3 is. This is Game of the Year. I guarantee you, people choose that for Game of the Year. We're in best
I'm
game
not sure,
direction.
man.
Best game direction is the dumbest category because nobody that is nominating things is fit to decide. Awarded for outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design. Again, Resident Evil 4 should be in here just because you didn't screw it up. That's the most
Also, Dead Space should be
impressive
in here
thing.
because they didn't screw it up.
But Dead Space is literally we took the original game but then fit everything together. Dead Space is not as impressive an achievement as Resident Evil 4 remake. The thing is, best game direction, I've only played 2 and it's the Nintendo games. And I'm kind of biased towards Super Mario Brothers Wonder, even though I don't feel like that's the best game direction I've played this year.
I picked it. That's my vote.
Yeah, because even if I did play them, I don't know if I'd feel comfortable choosing the other 3, especially Spider-Man 2. I mean, even Steve came out and was like, Spider-Man 2 is everything everyone else says it is, which is like Spider-Man 1. So it's.
I picked Mario because it was like finally we got like it didn't feel like cookie cutter.
The best thing about it too is it didn't overstay its welcome. It had new ideas start to finish. It was really well paced, and I got nearly every Wonder Seed in it. I only had a few stages I didn't find, and once I found those stages, I'd be able to find the rest of, because I did like 4 special world stages. So I did a lot in that game. I nearly completed it. I'm like minimum 80% completion when it comes to the Wonder Seeds, at least. Because who cares about collecting all the purple coins? I maxed out purple coins over and over and over.
Whereas Tears of the Kingdom is like, there is too much in that game.
Yes.
There is way too much. And hey, I think there's some merit to that in that, after you're done the story, you don't have to create a new save file. You can go back and still experience new things.
It's definitely for that kind of player that they don't buy a lot of games, so they want the one game that's going to have hundreds of hours of content for them.
Oh, you mean the you know what? I'm going to be the mean one now. You mean the basic bitch Zelda fans? The ones that like you
open world fans.
girls...
Correction. Open world fans. The basic
Zelda fans.
No, because dude, Skyrim. What kind of people do you think play Skyrim? And bought it 5 times. Like, come on, man.
Listen, I'm talking specifically Zelda's fan. You go into a girl's room and you see Zelda poster, you're going to get some of the best clunge of your life, but they don't play anything else. Okay? Chat, you know what I'm talking about. You're going to have a good time, but you're not going to talk to her again.
I love that you think I can get myself into a girl's room. Anyway. Game of the Year. Recognizing a game that delivers the absolute best experience across all creative and technical fields. This is where they have like an extra entry. I'm sorry, it's Resident Evil 4 because they could have screwed it up so bad and they didn't. It's so good. Resident Evil 4 is my pick because
game, I like it was closer to being a Zelda game. Closer. It didn't nail it because again the dungeons were eh. The thing that's really holding this game back, there's one thing holding this game back, and it is the very platform that it's on. the Switch.
Yeah.
Like sometimes this game chugs and you can see the variable resolution, but the fact that I was able to look at something and go there and be rewarded with more than just something, I said this earlier, more than just something that just increases my health or stamina.
Unless you were underground. You couldn't see crap underground.
I could. I mean, get good, bro.
Okay, I have the footage, but like, well, I also, my one monitor is like super, super dark, even when you have the good. So, Twitch locked me out of the channel with an Xfinity ad. Oh, I'm sorry. That's okay. You missed.
Yeah, they just hit me with an ad, even though the stream was paused.
You missed me disappointing you, is all I'm going to say. AV Hobbies. So, all right.
Resident Evil
that's
4 was a very close one to me because I will say I still go back to Resident Evil 4 and Tears of the Kingdom. I haven't touched since I've beaten it, but that's because like I went hard with that. Like that was almost all I played, almost until I beat it, and then I beat it on stream, and I was happy. I was so happy with that end. I was so happy with that game. I much happier than I was with Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild I thought was really good. This one, nah, way better. Good job, Nintendo. Good job.
I liked it. I do think there was a little bit too much, but
There is too much. If you don't pace yourself, you're gonna burn out.
The thing is, again,
Unless
like
all you do is play Zelda.
I'm going to be absolutely stunned if Baldur's Gate 3 does not walk away with a Game of the Year award. Which is funny. My thing is, because, well, I think you were still, and I know Zach was still saying Tears of the Kingdom's the most likely, but just from the buzz and from, honestly, from the pandering that Baldur's Gate 3 even does, I expect that to walk away with it.
So here's the thing about the pandering. I don't think the pandering is so bad with this game because it's like people would ask for it and it's like because it's an RPG and having more options for things for an RPG is a-okay. It's not like Saints Row. Okay? It's like it's not like it's not like, and this is a deep cut that no one really talks about. It's not like the tie-in game for the 2016 Ghostbusters movie, okay, that came out in 360 and PS3, where they actually use the word her story, not history, her story. They said that. It's not pandering like that. This is just like, you want it, and we can do it. Here you go. I think that's fine. I think that
perhaps
that is fine.
I mean, my impression I got from even, well, then again, it was Yahtzee Croshaw in one of his extra videos, but it's one of the impressions I got was you say hello to a character and they're ready to get in bed with you immediately. But technically, the guy that originally created the Forgotten Realms, that was kind of his idea of the setting anyway. So, I don't know. I mean, granted, see, it's funny. It's a different topic, but I actually thought about this when playing Eternites, which markets itself partially as a dating sim. And I'm like, well, why is this pandering bad, but that pandering good? And you're right. The options is part of it. Because I thought about it. And it's like, okay, because that one, you are always a male character. And even though I do believe they have same-sex options, it leans towards you at least being interested in women kind of a thing. So the options available in Baldur's Gate 3, you can make whatever kind of a character you wanted. No. AV Hobbies, I think you misunderstand me. I think you misunderstand me. But
listen,
I'm not going to get into that.
You can date anything.
But no, for Eternites, it's something where I feel like, well, this is the thing, like in general, like anime or Japanese media that are focused on romance, I always found better written than Western media focused on romance. And I think this carries over even into games. So it's just one of those things where, I played Dragon Age, I played Mass Effect, and I had my favorite characters, and okay, this is who I'm going to go after for this achievement. But I never understood why people loved that aspect of the game. And I'm honestly kind of sick of that being such a major factor. If Baldur's Gate 3 had no relationship, anything in it, I'd be so much more interested. But the fact that it's such a marketing, I know you don't have to, but it's such a marketed point. It's such a big deal. And evidently characters will approach you for being nice anyway. So it's like but that's just part of the reason. I mean, let's face it. I'm also not big into isometric RPGs. So I was never going to be interested to begin with. So, I like Dragon Age Origins. And I like Dragon Age Origins. I don't even like Mass Effect anymore, I don't think. So,
I sir.
I don't like
it ain't for the relationships though, but I'm also not. I don't have a Tumblr, and that's kind of what this all. That's kind of what this all
that's a
boils
lot
down
what it
to.
feels
People,
like. Yes.
the people that use the term ship, okay, this is the game for them. But at the same time, this is why I will actually be. I'll be both surprised, but also happy. I'll be surprised that Baldur's Gate 3 wins Game of the Year because a lot of the people that partake in the discourse are maybe watching people play the games. They might not be playing them. They also might not be actively participating in the game awards. It's gonna be this is gonna be interesting. No, it's fucking not horny. Women ruin Mass Effect 3. Listen, if there's anything I learned in college, it's that women and children run the economy.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that's hilarious. Thank you, AV Hobbies. Thank you for tuning in. I'm so glad I could disappoint you and get you so emotionally riled up. I mean, that's the thing though. Like, this is if it I'll put it again though a different way, because in the end, Baldur's Gate 3 is not for me, and again, the South Park thing amused the crap out of me. But for the most part, again, I'm not big in isometric RPGs. I've seen some clips of it that it's like, this is not fantasy writing to me. This is too critical role for me. So, and that's the thing, like D&D in general is no longer for me. D&D is just not my thing anymore. I would rather another setting. I would rather another game system if I'm going to play tabletop role-playing games again. So part of it is just this stuff, like I'm no longer part of the target demographic. It changed, and whatever, that's fine. This year has seen so many good games. I don't think 2023 is as incredible as a lot of people have made it out to be. I think we've had better years
I'm kind
recently.
of in that camp, honestly.
I think we've had better years recently. I mean, heck, for me, 2021 was the best year for me because Resident Evil Village and Metroid Dread came out, and I played those each half a dozen times in less than 365 days. So I'm hugely.
I feel like the last golden age was 2017 through 2021. I feel that was like the last golden age.
Before COVID, you mean? I mean, we're still in a good time, though. We are in a good time, but it's like you can find something for you. And there's a lot of games I played this year. Again, I'm going through my 2023 in review. There's a lot of good games I played this year. Most of them aren't nominated. And I can understand some of the reasons why. I mean, Gal Guardians was never going to be a nominee for anything. I understand that. But again, like 9 Years of Shadow, it's a good game. It's a good Metroidvania, and it's beautiful with a great soundtrack. Not in here. Actually,
didn't Blasphemous 2 also come out this year?
Blasphemous 2 did come out this year. Again, art direction, right? Where is that for art direction?
Absolutely.
So
Moonscars came out this year too. Like there's a lot of
Moonscars was last games. Moonscars was last year, but it might have been after. Now that I think about it, it might have been after the cutoff, so it would have been eligible for this year. So there's a lot of stuff though, and that's the thing.
Yeah,
it's the mistake of all, like, they've got so many categories, right? And it's funny when you see how few I like, how little I actually voted. But it's like best sports / racing can be divided. Do we really need? Should esports be its own event? RPG, we can split that up. Let's get rid of games for impact. You know what, AV Hobbies? I'm so glad someone feels so much more strongly about it than I do, because I've felt so strong about best community support. We can get rid of that. Indie games need their own split. They really do. Like, but the thing
and
is,
not a split in best debut indie and best indie, because that is so
well,
crappy.
that's another thing. It's
Like
like when it comes to award events, like firstly, I think the game awards need competition.
they do.
Who's going to make something that can compete? Because nobody pays attention to the GDC awards, which is game developers voting, which is so much more valuable. But at the same time, when you look at when you let's go to about let's see if we could find overview media kit host advisory press no fact
I'm all feelings. I'm very strong.
the award process. Why do you use this jury for? Hold on, jury of over
I'm actually
100
looking
global
at the
media. Because this is the kind of thing. It's like most of it, the Easy Allies. You know why Easy Allies is in there? They used to be game trailers. So it's like some of the like most.
okay.
Why is Entertainment Weekly in here? Like, but a lot of this, okay.
There's
So there's
some
more personalities. But again, Jeff Gerstmann show. Jeff Gerstmann used to work for, he was GameSpot, then he was Rock Paper Scissors. Or no, he was GameSpot, then he was Giant
rock paper
Bomb.
shotgun.
Rock Paper Shotgun, you're right. But even then, he was GameSpot, then he was Giant Bomb. Now he's independent. So how many YouTubers are not included that are so much more valuable, or streamers even, that are so much more valuable in determining who plays what than, by far, The Verge or Venture Beat,
Okay.
the LA Times, the only newspaper. Like, I don't even think New York is in there. I don't even think the New York Times are in there. Yeah. Variety. Yeah, right. This is Variety, LA Times. They're just because Los Angeles, right? Which is where this event takes place.
This kind of explains a lot, because I totally forgot about who makes contributions to this. Okay. Have you looked at the best esports game category? Because I think you should. There's something here that's amiss.
Oh, you mean a new nominees?
Yeah, in the nominees. There's something here that's a little odd. Why is this here? Do you see it?
PUBG Mobile, or is it
PUBG Mobile? Not even PUBG proper. PUBG Mobile as best esports game. What happened? Something's a little. And this is why, as you said, why the wider community should be listened to for these.
And you know what? There's not a single fighting game in here.
There isn't. And Evo is massive. Mortal Kombat should be on here. Street Fighter definitely should be on.
I mean, heck, they don't even have a fighting game. Oh, no, they do have a fighting game category. My bad.
They do, but they're in esports. Also, I got something kind of great, and I think I think this might be indicative of a slow shift. But notice there's no Overwatch here. Just
no Overwatch was not going to be in there, dude. They're getting rid of the Overwatch League.
Yeah, they are, but and the game is still fairly popular. They might be getting rid of Overwatch League, but
it's losing players. It's like Destiny 2. It's losing players.
It is, and Overwatch was massive, and this
was Apex Legends in there.
Apex Legends is not in best esports. But also Fortnite isn't either, and I don't think they count.
Maybe they don't, even though those are like huge. People play those games competitively all the time.
They do. Rocket League is also very competitive. That's not
here.
So it really makes you think. Now, I think we're starting. There's things that are amiss here. And I think we're going to start seeing some differences over the next few years, especially if Baldur's Gate ends up being Baldur's Gate 3 ends up being game of the year, I think we're gonna start seeing a shift in what developers are potentially going to deliver. You know?
I mean, admittedly, the last several years I've been surprised by some of the winners, and I think we are seeing a shift either way. The thing is,
Oh,
I
we are.
also think part of the problem is the video game industry is too darn huge. And again,
It
when it
is.
comes to who Jeff Keighley, a Gen Xer that comes from print press, who he relies on when it comes to his jury, it's not forward thinking. You know, for all of his gamers are forward thinking, gamers are going to guys like Skill Up more than they're going to Game Informer for their advice.
And
Um,
he can say that stuff all he wants, but as I say about everyone, everybody has a price. You might say something, but money talks. Money makes people do things. So
The one thing I do believe is that he does care about the games industry. I mean, one of my favorite, dude. Did you
yeah,
see? Have you seen the video clip where Angry Joe tried to, you know, talk smack on Jeff Keighley's Game Awards, and Jeff Keighley was
like
just
when he
able
went
to,
up to him.
yes, and he asked a bunch of questions, and Jeff Keighley was like, "F around and
Final
find out."
Fantasy didn't come out this year. He's fucking with me.
It's like F around and find out kind of a thing. Like it was great. It was great. But that's the thing. Like Jeff Keighley does love the industry.
Oh yeah,
I think
clearly
he's
he does.
misguided. I think he's misguided in how he tries to do these things. And he's also probably got his hands tied because he's still going to be beholden to advertisers.
Yeah,
And that's the thing,
absolutely.
because no matter, like, we looked at all those categories, we know half of them, if not more, will technically be already voted upon, well, revealed before the show. Like, it'll be during the pre show, and they'll like, by the way, here's the winners of these categories. And very few categories will get proper time. And I think he has been trying to give a bit more time to certain categories because there was one
Yeah.
year where it was barely any awards. Um, and he also tries to keep in mind that the show's really long because it's really long.
Yep.
Because I'll probably want to do another stream of it with you, like a reaction stream of it with you, but
Oh, dude. Yeah.
it
I
goes
I want to
late.
do. I want to. Yeah, it does. But I want to do a simulcast of that. Was like it is something I look forward to. All right. I look forward to when I hear a certain term. I'm not going to bring it up. But when I hear a certain term and I rip the earbuds out of my ear.
I feel
I'm not
like I
going to
should
say
know
which
this
one.
term, but
Yeah. It's
I know what it is. But
there. It's that one.
I'll look at Discord when we're done. But I mean, the thing is, it's one of those things where the only way you're going to be able to create a proper competitor is if you have the money to do it. And anyone worth their salt in creating a competitor is not going to get the money for it. So this is kind of what we got, but at the same time, and you even said like burn all award shows to the ground. Award shows are marketing events. Even the Oscars are
They are.
marketing events. They don't mean anything.
They're
Um,
marketing events and just they're masturbatory marketing events.
and if you want a real laugh, look at the history of the Oscars, right? Go through the 80s especially. Pick any year in the 80s. Find how many movies that won best film that you have no idea what that movie even is. Take that year, Google what movies released in that year, and you'll be like, "Holy crap, there's so many good movies that stood the test of time."
Yeah. And that's how it goes. It's like because they're very gatekeeping. This is
This is a
almost
little better, but it's also very, again, it's very limited because it's like you guys can
yeah.
at least showcase more. There are so
Yeah.
many more games. Like the industry is so much bigger than you're representing it here.
Yeah.
And again, it's like there's that irony where Jeff Keighley does love to virtue signal and be all about the representation and diversity. And it's like real representation and diversity goes beyond skin color and goes into taste and appeal and other things like personality, and that is reflected in the
ideas.
games you play, and ideas, and that is reflected in the games you play, games that are
Hmm.
made. And it's funny because you can see even Nintendo is on that with like the Indie World presentation today. The Indie World presentation, they got as many games from different developers from different countries. Like there's a couple of games that were made by Americans or something, but a lot of the games are made by people. Like there was one game being made by an Italian team. There was one game being made by, I think they were Chinese or Taiwanese. I'm not sure. Um, Spanish speaking, which could be Brazil, it could be Spain, it could be a number of things.
Well,
There's
Brazil
all
is
these
Portuguese.
Portuguese. Sorry, see, that's how little I actually know. I'm at
That's why
least
I'm
willing
here
to
asking
admit my ignorance. Um,
Spanish.
but that's the thing. It's you have these different countries and cultures. It's funny. The only studio they didn't have talk was Team Ladybug from Japan making a brand new game. I am all here for it.
What did they make before?
Record of Lotus War, Deal It in Wonder Labyrinth. They made
Okay.
Dra-
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
they made Draenus. They made Toho Luna Knights. They specialize in Metroidvanias, and they're definitely using the same engine for a new Metroidvania that looks rock solid. Draenus was the one deviation. Draenus was a bullet hell shooter, and I played it this year, and I was like, dude, this game's actually really good. And I don't normally do bullet hell shooters. So they're just solid. They're one of my favorite indie developers. Um, AV Hobbies says these people are obviously paid off for reviews. I know that Alan Wake hit all those categories so that it has a chance to win any of them, just so that these choices get to slap a "We won this award" sticker on their promo. I am neither confirming nor denying that. Well, firstly because I can't, but also because it's possible, but I
Allegedly.
don't have enough. Like, there's not enough to back it up. Um,
So,
Now, granted, there
you know,
was a tweet that I saw. I don't feel like looking it up, but I did see like some the VJs themselves are like, which publisher had the most nominations, and it's like the fact that Nintendo's got 15 nominations, and some of these other companies got like 13 and stuff like that. It's like you're making it look awfully suspicious here.
yeah, it is. And yeah, of course, there's all right. Allegedly, it makes sense that they would do this, and I'm doing that. I'm just saying allegedly, just in case.
Well, hold on.
Um,
I know that game reviewers in some fashion get paid. At least the publication does. That's why Jeff Gersman got fired. So, and yeah, I know
is that the
Alina.
Kane and Lynch thing?
That was the Kane and Lynch thing a long time
Yeah.
ago. But I know Alana Pierce has basically kind of discussed stuff about like, yeah, this is what happens. Which is why Alana Pierce is not a game journalist anymore.
Yeah.
She's both a YouTube content creator and also does work as a writer at Sony Santa Monica. So yeah.
So it's and also don't forget after after what was it? Yeah, it was after 2020 they got rid of the Player's Choice Award. Don't forget.
Oh yeah. Let's not even discuss
'Cause
why
that
that
was
was. I know.
well,
Even though it ended up being Sony versus Sony, which is
yeah,
like
because
that's it's kind of dumb when it's Sony versus Sony, but
it really
it's like
was.
Sony wins either way. It's like, what are you guys doing? But
Yeah, because
it was
because
Cause of
it was
Destiny
nearly
2.
a clean sweep. It was nearly a clean sweep back then of The Last of Us Part 2, and then Player's Choice happened, and it's like, okay, so you guys tell us what your favorite game was, and it was Ghost of Tsushima, and then we didn't get the Player's Choice again.
No.
It's and I think that was, and it's a shame because there's like, if you look at the graph, there's a spot on the bottom right there for another category.
Depends on how
Really,
big the
really
window
makes you
is.
think.
Depends on how big
Really?
it depends on how big your browser window is. But
Oh, does it? Hold on. Let me shift it to the other. No, it's the same size. Yep.
do you have it full screen? Narrow the
Yes, I do.
window. Just narrow the window. Just start narrowing the window.
Oh, I see. Well, when it's full screen, okay, when it's full screen, which most people will, All right.
I'm teaching
There's
Joey about responsive web design, everybody.
there's a suspicious. I mean,
A
hey, like it
suspicious
doesn't.
empty spot.
It's listen, it's like Smash Brothers predictions. It's like, oh, well, there's space at the bottom.
We're going to
That
get
means that this character
Goku.
could fit here.
We're going to get
We're gonna
Goku,
get Goku.
everybody. Okay.
We're gonna get.
It's about 10
Alright,
o'clock, so we need to be wrapping up.
So, all right, you want to run through predictions real quick?
Of what? Who wins what?
Well, no, of like who, like what we're gonna see.
Oh, what we're gonna see. There's the combination of hope versus what. The only thing I know of, and it's because firstly, it's been leaking like crazy, and secondly, because Rockstar basically confirmed it. They're like, we're gonna have a trailer for the new GTA in December. Gee, what big event filled with trailers is in December? And Jeff Keighley's all up liking them tweets. So it's like, okay, yeah. We're going to see GTA 6. I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of dumpster fire discussion around whatever we see, because there's already anticipation. And
listen, everybody is going to be wrong about it until they fix their controls. I don't need to keep tapping A to sprint. Stop that. Stop it.
Oh, stop. Boy.
Bad.
So there's that. I would love to see a release date for Crimson Desert or more of Dokev, but I think I'm happy to just get what I got, and also I'm now afraid of it. If I were to hazard a guess, either a release date reveal for Dragon's Dogma 2 that just got a rating in Saudi Arabia, so it might be close to release, closer than we thought, or a reveal of Monster Hunter, the next one. I would love, and here's the thing. Nintendo hasn't done a lot of trailers recently, I think. Maybe they have. But either there's going to be one of two things. A tease for the reveal of their next console, which I highly doubt.
I doubt that too.
Or we're finally getting a trailer for Metroid Prime 4. But that's, again, hope territory.
There's no way in hell.
There is hope. That is hope territory. I hope for a new trailer because I want to see it. But otherwise...
That is hope bordering on cope territory.
I am not sure what Nintendo would put out there for the Video Game Awards. And they've had years where they didn't really have anything. So...
Yeah, last year they had nothing.
Normally there's a lot of like AA game stuff. So I don't know. Maybe Microsoft will finally have some kind of confirmation for Hellblade 2 in terms of a release date. Or they'll have some other kind of a reveal. Because Microsoft usually has something there too. Sony, what would Sony have?
Ghost of Tsushima 2.
Oh, that would be...
Probably not.
Interesting. Ubisoft will probably have some kind of Assassin's Creed thing there. I don't know.
Bloodborne 2!
Never.
Yeah, that's never happened.
It's more likely they'll announce the latest Horizon for PC if they didn't already release it on there.
Oh, yeah, they might do that. Did The Last of Us 2 ever get put on PC?
Not yet, but it's probably going to end up soon.
You know what? They're probably going to have a trailer for The Last of Us Season 2 show.
Oh, yeah. And they might have an announcement. They'll have a Last of Us Part 2 remaster for PS5.
What a... Man. Really not convincing me to get their console, huh?
Oh,
the only reason I get it is to play my PS4 games.
Or Demon Souls. Honestly, Demon Souls on PC.
I have Elden Ring. Nice. I don't want Demon Souls. Well, why play Demon Souls? That's a step back.
Yeah, I don't know if Demon Souls is the big get that they thought it was, considering how many From Software games are available on PC. and Xbox. But anyways, I really
PS5
can't
is
think
sad.
of I really can't think of much stuff. So
Yeah, I'm hoping that it would be cool if Nintendo teases a new console and like maybe announces. Well, they probably wouldn't announce an event
not
at this
until,
event.
well, see, that's the question, right? So okay, so they're in two different positions. Because when they originally revealed the Switch, it was like in October before it released. The October
Yeah.
before it released. People have been wondering if they were going to do the same thing with the next Switch. The thing is, their next console, like the Switch is, unlike the Wii U, the Switch is actually still selling. The
Yep.
Wii U was kind of dead on arrival. So
Yes.
it didn't matter if Nintendo revealed their next console before Christmas or not, because they weren't going to sell many more Wii U's anyway. Versus the Switch, where they're still selling OLED bundles.
Yep.
So no system reveal yet for them.
I think early next year. I think like the first direct of next year, they're gonna say, hey, we're gonna have an event in a couple months, and then maybe they might actually have a console at like during holiday seasons.
Well, AV Hobbies, if you're tired of Monster Hunter and FromSoft games, maybe you'll be lucky and they'll show more Avowed gameplay. No, that's more Skyrimish though.
Yeah,
If they show more of the Outer Worlds too, then again, that's supposed to be far out, so I don't even know why they teased that. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I don't know what to predict because a lot of times they show like more double A stuff. Like that's the thing. Jeff Keighley he's a big marketing event, but even when you look at the Summer Games Fest, most of what he's got isn't really that big. Most of
no,
the
it's not.
publishers are doing like their own thing. So a lot of what we'll see is going to be more mid-level, double A or indie. So maybe you'll get a Hades 2 gameplay reveal.
No, Starfield is in there. Starfield is like best RPG.
Oh yeah, Starfield's in there for his best RPG, but I
Yeah,
don't think
which
people were.
hell no.
Yeah, I don't think people were very impressed with that. And it's funny because then you have
Well,
whatever.
some people were.
Well, no, I was gonna say when you see the console war people, and you'll see Sony fans will trot out like Microsoft has gotten no nominations for the past 10 years, and it's like, and you are right. Sony's still trash right now, though. Like, because it just amazes me that there's the like, I am so surprised and like, just curious about people that bought a PS5 talking about how it has no games. That is so interesting to me, but that's a whole other discussion. So
I mean that would be me eventually because I would only reason why I would really get one is to ensure that I can enjoy my PS4 games. That's also why I bought a Series X plus Game Pass. That's like
I
literally it.
desperately, I
It's a shame.
desperately, desperately want them to port Infamous 1 and 2 to PC. And the thing is, people will sit there and be like, "Oh, I mean, you know why they don't do that is because of the cell architecture stuff." It's like there were games that were PS3 exclusives that got PC ports. Don't
Sony just
mess with
doesn't
me.
care.
Sony just
They
does not care.
yeah, they're like they'll just remaster it and make you pay for it,
This
or
isn't
they'll make you pay for it by
prestigious
playing off of this
enough.
over.
You know what it is? Herman Holst didn't like it. Herman Holst? Is he the ex Gorilla guy?
Oh, I have no.
Whatever. I think it is. Because Jim Ryan's the guy that just left. So Herman Holst. Herman Holst didn't like it, so he doesn't care. All right. Anyways,
I
that's
think
all
that'll do
for
it.
us tonight. Yeah, that'll do it. I can't wait to upload this to YouTube. And again, we'll start streaming on YouTube in the future. And we should get back to this. Maybe we won't be calling it A Steve anymore. Because I don't know, he's been real busy. Um
Yeah,
maybe we'll
he's got
just,
a whole ass family.
I mean, it'll be the same basic idea, but we'll do something. We'll figure something out. Or we'll just do our wrestling idea. Wrestling podcast idea.
Wrestling podcast. I have a few ideas for names, but I'm not going to say them because I don't want anybody to steal them.
Let's get ready to ramble. That's the intro.
That's terrible.
That's the intro every time. Which is funny because that's how A Steve started. I thought of the intro. I thought of that before anything else. So, all right. Thank you for joining us, Patrick and AV Hobbies. And I know Solo Mega was in there at one point. Thanks for tuning in, guys. And Adam Devav.
Adam Dav, hell yeah.
However you pronounce her name. Thank you guys for joining. I hope you all have a great night, and I hope to see you guys again.